Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Suj.
My name is James.
Okie dokie. Welcome to the 16th international break of the 2025-2026 season. It feels like every other week, international break. James, there's another one now.
Look,
what is it, third one?
Enjoy this 2 weeks because there isn't another one till March, and that's the only one between now and the end of the season. So it's gonna, I suppose maybe we'll still get breaks from FPL in the sense of FA Cup games and stuff like that. But yeah, your actual break from club football, this is it. So enjoy the break. Many of us are probably pissed off with our teams at the moment, and glad to see the back of them for a couple of weeks.
Real teams or FPL teams, James?
Both.
Or both. My real team is doing all right. I'm not going to rant and rave about how good the real performances have been, but at least we are going into the international break off a couple of wins. And FPL was a green arrow as well. So I'm not overly complaining. James, I have a surprise for you.
Go on then.
Are you ready?
Don't go with Triple H on me. Go on.
So we don't talk and plan a lot around these podcasts. It's not like you and me are WhatsApping each other all weekend, talking about this, talking about that, this team, that team, my team, your team strategies or whatever. We come into it pretty blind, generally. I might ask you the odd question, depending on what you say on the old deadline stream. Wildcard active, James.
Is it?
Wildcard active. Yes, my friend. I hit the button last night.
I'm really pleased about that because I can buy all the players in Gameweek 13 that you don't this week.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wonder, it will be very interesting to see who you do buy in 13 following on from that. I think there's one massive difference between you and me for this wildcard 12/13. I am wildcarding this week with a view to free hitting in Gameweek 13.
Okay, we'll be
which
different.
You
then.
Obviously don't have the free hit right now, which kind of changes the strategy a little bit. And then knowing that in Game Week 16, we're going to get topped up to 5 transfers. But yes.
So just coughing his guts up.
It's active. Yeah, I had to mute for a cough there, James. So yeah, we'll talk about that when we get into talking about our teams and what we're going to be doing. It gives me 2 weeks to kind of plan and strategize. Although I think I know the direction of travel. Tell us, how was your game week?
Oh, do we have to? Yeah, we do because you're coughing. 35 points for me. Absolute shit show, boy.
I have this thing where whenever a game week starts well, it never finishes well. And whenever a game week starts badly, it ends up not being as bad as you think. I had the latter this week where mine was a shit show until about the 90th minute in the 2 o'clock games yesterday, and it kind of recovered. So, yeah, I feel your pain because it hasn't been a great game week for many people.
It was pretty shit throughout. A couple of penalty misses from Haaland and Semenyo, but I suppose that's the story for the majority of people listening to this. Bruno Fernandes assist, João Pedro goal, Joachim Anderson defcon, Lucas Perry save point. I did cartwheels after that because it was that kind of game week. Obviously 1 point from double Arsenal defence. Also, that would be the same for most people. Ismail Assar and Enzo Fernandez only with 3 pointers. There's a lot of Enzo Fernandez frustration knocking on. I've just bought him. I don't really feel that frustration. Just look at the weekend and think it was another weekend he probably could have and should have returned. How's Jared Bowen got me nothing across again, scoring 6 goals across 2 game weeks?
Yeah. And like,
absolutely nothing.
I mean, he had the shot that just went wide. He was involved again. He had a couple of potential assists. The goal right at the end. Like, if Kyle Walker-Peters should be in his actual position, a right back, then Jared Bowen's the one that's tapping it in.
I think if I'd have been at the game,
so unlucky with Jared Bowen.
I'd have been waiting for Kyle Walker-Peters in the tunnel, I think.
No, but Jared Bowen genuinely, like, sometimes you say you've been unlucky with someone. If a team scored, we've scored and he has been involved and in and around it. Like, it's been very unfortunate. Yeah.
The difference to me and you going now, I think, I mean, I don't know how you felt about your bus team in 12, but mine doesn't look nowhere near bad enough to be activating the wild card. I mean, Bowen, looking at the fixtures, would be my weakest player in 12. Verbruggen's got a home fixture that's fine. Timber Gabriel, you can put your clean sheet points and probably an attacking return for one of them on your points now at home to Tottenham. Joachim Andersen at home to Sunderland, Sarr at Wolves, Enzo Fernandez at Burnley, Bruno Fernandes against Everton, Semenyo against West Ham, Haaland at Newcastle, João Pedro at Burnley, Boweners at Bournemouth, and having bought Enzo Fernandez going into this week, I can slide Bowen to Mateta if I want, or Igor Thiago, or roll, or if I get an injury, take a 1 week punt somewhere else, and that's probably what I intend to do, is wait it out rather than chase any price changes at the start of this week. With the 5 free transfers in 16, I don't particularly feel like I need a build up, but I'm also happy potentially to roll. I would say if I've got no injuries, I'll probably just go Bowen to Mateta, and then crack on for the week, I think. So yeah, a bit of a shit show. Team doesn't sit too badly for 12. Shake it up in game week 13, I suppose. Just a bit shy. Yeah. And for a lot of people, it was shy, right? But other people had little bits like Michael Keane's return, or people with like Thiago. There's a lot of, I guess, a lot of the template players, if you will, didn't return particularly this weekend. Bumo owners have had a decent return out of that. He scored. Not too many players doing great this weekend. And yeah, I have seen a few really nice scores out there.
Yeah, it's always, if you get the right combination of players, then you can push well above average. I ended up selling Gyökeres, James, for Thiago. That was always the kind of move. There was a choice of Thiago or João Pedro, and the decision to get Thiago. I sat Friday night, so I had a fever on Friday. It wasn't great. Anyone that listens to the differential show for our patrons might have heard it wasn't like my normal self. I was listening to, I can't remember what I was listening to. And I thought when I finished listening to this, I'll tell you what I was listening to. I was listening to Andy, Let's Talk, who went on Black Box with Az. And I thought, let me listen to their ramblings. I'm 99% sure that I'm going to go Gyökeres to Thiago. When they finish, I'll make the transfer, go to sleep. I fell asleep before that finished, and Gyökeres went down in price. Thiago went up in price overnight, right? So I'm already kicking myself that I've lost the 0.2 there. But it was the right move I wanted to make anyway. So Saturday morning, I moved Gyökeres on to Thiago. And I thought, let me bank the money, because then it'll give me a bit of flexibility on what I want to do with my midfield moving forward, because I'd always earmarked Dewsbury Hall to Declan Rice as the next move this week, even if I wasn't wildcarding. So I made that move. The other decision for me was to play Diouf or Dewsbury Hall, and that has obviously come back and kicked me in the nuts. At the end of Saturday, James, all I'd had is the Bruno Fernandes assist, and I had Dewsbury Hall obviously sitting on my bench with a 9-pointer there. Fast forward to lunchtime and half time of the 2 o'clock games yesterday, I've got Matt Sells, who's conceded. 1-pointers from Calafiori and Gabriel, 1-pointer from Reece James, who was praying, stayed on the bench, and a 1-pointer from Diouf. Missed penalty from Semenyo, nothing from Mateta, and nothing from Thiago. So I'm sitting there with a Bruno assist, and that is it. With Erling Haaland to go as captain, who everybody has as captain. I come out of the game with Elliot Anderson picking up that goal and DEFCON, Thiago picking up the 2 goals and maximum bonus, and then obviously Erling's irrelevant, and it's put me on a green arrow, or by 1 point. But trust me, in this game week, I take it. Do you know what I mean? I think I'm taking it all day long. So yeah, 43 points for me. The Thiago move did work out really well. Ironically, I'm selling him this week on Wildcard if my plan goes as
Who's selling, sorry?
Thiago.
You sell him on Wildcard?
Correct, James, because I'm going to sell him for João Pedro, who I'd rather have longer term. I can then free hit him back in for Burnley at home on Gameweek 13, followed by Arsenal away, Tottenham away. I don't want him for Arsenal away, and Tottenham away you can argue, but I'll ignore him for that. And then Leeds at home, Wolves away, I can buy him back in Gameweek 16 when I've got transfers. So I get to keep him for Burnley at home and avoid away trips to Arsenal, Brighton and Tottenham. And I can have João Pedro for Burnley and Leeds during that time. You know, so I think I get Burnley, Leeds out of João Pedro, João Pedro, and then I can move him back on. So it'll be a bit of hokey cokey, and I've got the transfers to potentially do it. So As it stands right now, I've made 2 transfers yesterday on Wildcard. I sold Dewsbury Hall and I bought Rice, and I sold Bruno Fernandes and I bought Mbomo. And both of them were going up yesterday, so I pulled the trigger on that. Reece James, it's not a problem. I knew when I bought him that any given game, there's one that he could potentially get benched.
You didn't want to see him play in Azerbaijan last
No,
week.
exactly. At the moment, Reece James is going to Van Dijk. Diouf is going to Richards. Though if I keep Reece James, then I'll keep Reinders. But if I get rid of Reece James and get to Chris Richards, I need some money. I have some money.
You can't keep Reinders at the moment. He's not even in the team.
Well, Reinders is going to Doku. Rice and Mbuma are already in. Matt Sells is gone. The cheapest best 4.5 with good fixtures for long period is Bournemouth. So Petrovic comes in. So Doku will come in. And then, like I said, I'm going to sell Thiago for João Pedro. So my wild card as it stands at the moment is Petrovic, Dubravka, Gabriel, Calafiori, Richards, Van Dijk, Alderete, Semenyo, Rice, Doku, Bomo, Elliot Anderson, João Pedro, Mateta, Haaland. And that gives me 5 changes to my starting 11 in game week 12.
Just 5?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, maybe 6 if I play Richards as well. I then obviously have a benching headache. I know this is something you discussed with David on the weekend. I
think you want
people wildcarding now are giving themselves benching headaches.
I think you want one.
I think I'll be I'll be in a better position for 12. I'll be very aggressive with my free hit in game week 13, which as it stands right now, triple City, double Liverpool, double Villa, and then Thiago, Mateta, Petrovic I'll keep. I've chucked in Kudus in there, but that could be Minter, who's also got a decent fixture. I'm pretty set that it's going to be now free hit 13 for me, and I'll avoid Arsenal-Chelsea completely. And that free hit, which we'll talk about more as we get closer towards deadline, is a Haaland Salah free hit.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. All go.
There'll be differences between what you end up with and what I end up with. I'd be very surprised if Thiago doesn't end up in mine.
I understand that because I've got every intention to buy him back, but I just think I can avoid Arsenal away and Tottenham away. Like Tottenham away, I might even buy him back for Tottenham away, depending on if João Pedro picks up a knock or
just bench him at Arsenal. I think.
Yeah.
Ultimately, as well, though, I mean, he's on pens, isn't he? If they get a pen, or if they score, he's the most likely, isn't he? That's the only sort of fixture to consider leaving him out at the moment. It's something like Arsenal away. I very much think my front three will end up being Haaland, Thiago, and Mateta. I'd be very surprised if it's not that. I want to kind of have a strategy where I'm pissing about with midfield players through December, and slamming stuff in that's punts and kind of rotating amongst them and having a settled team across the rest of it. That's kind of the theory I got at the moment. All right, should we talk games? Should we do content first, actually?
What have we got for the rest of this week, James, whilst we're on international break?
So I recorded with Alex and Sean last night for tomorrow's Clash of Correspondents. It's Manchester United versus Everton. There's also COTC on Wednesday for you with Simon Bibby and Johnny Pringle, Newcastle versus Manchester City. Please note that won't be available till late Wednesday night. We're looking at a release of around about 10 p.m. UK time. We've also got Brighton versus Brentford with Sam and Tom late next week for you ahead of the game week 12 deadline as well. So 6 of the correspondents on this across this international break, although actually there's 3 more as well, because on Thursday I'm having to catch up with last season's bottom 3. Paul Gort-Allen, Sam Martin and Matt Samuel all joining me for a discussion on Ipswich, Leicester and Southampton not pulling up trees this season in the Championship, and I'm going to get their views in terms of how they feel now. There's been a lot of praise for the promoted 3 this season, and obviously last season they all struggled. David will be with me for the weekender on Friday. On Patreon, we've got Q&A today, Tottenham tomorrow. One of our patrons, Scott Forrest, is hosting a quiz for me on Wednesday on England in major international tournaments. Ask James is on Patreon this Thursday, 11 a.m. UK time. That is going to be available to all patrons, including free members. So you don't even have to sign up and pay us any money. Just sign up as a free member and you can have access to the Ask James stream and the audio that will be posted afterwards. It's a 11 a.m. Thursday start time for that. And on Friday, me and David are doing another one of our Challenge 11s, this time focusing on European Championships. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. And there's more advanced tier as well this round. I'm going to be having a look in terms of on what the numbers say of Coventry City are the best team in the Championship at the moment. I'm going to have a little look back on Tottenham versus Man United because it was something very striking to me from that fixture in terms of how well both teams I actually think defended in just general play. And there's plenty more as well. www.patreon.com/Planet FPL, including Nico's Corner, obviously, today, which is what the patrons really want.
Good. Well, yeah, James, that's a segue into the games. You talk about Spurs, Manchester United. I mean, both teams had less than 1 XG, so you could say defended reasonably well and kept the shot count relatively low.
Yeah, it wasn't an enjoyable game, but it was a really, really interesting game. And it followed a theme that I felt I was watching when I was watching games later on during this game week as well, is that I think when we're judging football teams just generally, we're judging them so much on the offensive stuff. We never really, if a team's crap offensively, but they're good defensively, we never say they played well. It's interesting that, isn't it? I think, and so much of the game at the moment is about how well structured you are defensively and the difficulty that so many teams are having in terms of playing line breaking passes and being creative. I think, like, I'm reflecting on Tottenham this season going, it's been a bit shit. But if I look at kind of our competitors, I don't look at any of them and think, you've been good either. Like, how many teams in the league at the moment do you actually look at and go, I've done really well? Arsenal, Sunderland.
Yeah,
Palace
I mean, even
fans
Bournemouth
will be particularly happy. Bournemouth, yeah.
I think Palace are 12th in the table, 10th. Bournemouth have dropped down to 9th.
I'd say there's comfortably more unhappy fans than happy fans at the moment.
Absolutely.
And I realise ultimately there's only one team can like win the league, but you'll have certain teams that can obviously rise above their objectives. Yeah, I think probably 3/4 of the supporters in the league are probably not that happy at the moment.
Yep. I'd say maybe Brentford, considering change of manager and stuff.
I think that's fair.
They've done pretty well as well. Yeah, I would say so.
And maybe City this morning.
I know a lot of the goals came late in the game, and you're saying both teams defended relatively well. Both have conceded 2 goals in the end, and 2 very late goals as well. I'm sure you thought with Richarlison,
I would say
he won it. I mean, he definitely thought that he won it.
Can you honestly, you absolute
super
melt.
glue that guy's shirt to his body?
Oh my god! Can you stop taking your effing shirt off, please? That's like twice now. He's taking his shirt off, thinking he's like got us points, and we haven't got them.
Well, you
Come
got one.
on, man. No, but I mean, his goal actually he did it at Liverpool, didn't he, a couple of years ago, and he's done it again here. Your goal was actually counted for nothing at the end of it, mate. So, just to clarify, when I'm saying about defending well, I don't think either side particularly defended their penalty areas that well, as seen with the 4 goals in the game. But just in general play, their structures and their setup, I think, defended quite well. And that's more the point. It's difficult for teams to get to. Once Tottenham in the second half, once Casemiro went off and Amrin moved Diallo back to right wing back, Tottenham were getting real territory. And I think the change to move Diallo back to wing back was probably pre-planned on Matswari's fitness, and obviously Casemiro struggles to get through 90 minutes, but as you'll hear on COTC tomorrow, he's so important to United at the moment, and he's actually playing really well. Tottenham then turns the kind of beginning of danger to like real threat and territory. And I think the change to move Diallo to wing back was to try and help United get back up the pitch, but it had the opposite consequence because Odegaard looked at him and went, "I'll have you. Like you're not a fullback. You're a winger. I'm going to get it and I'm going to run at you." And Odegaard had him all over the place after Matswari went off, and he had a really nice impact on the game. Wilson Odegaard. We didn't do enough to win the game. I'm sitting there kind of after Richarlison scored, somewhat bizarre that we found ourselves in a position where we're winning, where we haven't really looked like scoring. The game was never as good as the, I guess, drama you got in the last 10 minutes or so. The opener come from Bumo, really badly defended from our perspective. He obviously played as a left-sided forward, And it was interesting that after the change, he didn't move back to the right. He stayed on the left. We think that's probably a one-off thing, as discussed on COTC tomorrow, because I think if you had him in that position, that's not quite as interesting. He's not getting the right angle to get his shots away. But I don't imagine he'll stay in that position.
Well, the thing is, though, Sesko obviously he's got a hammy now, or
Knee, I
something,
think.
knee
Knee
or whatever it
could
might
be
be.
bad.
You could see maybe Cunha staying up there, Bumo back to the right, and Mount coming back in maybe on the left
Yeah,
side.
most likely
Which,
scenarios.
which is fine.
But
But
there's
either way,
also,
Bumo's still a good pickup. I mean, he keeps creeping up and up in price now. So the gap between him and Fernandez is only 0.4 now.
you could end up with it where it's like it was on Saturday. So Cunha 9, Bumo left, Diallo as right-sided 10. Ultimately as well, Diallo is too good offensively to end up in games almost playing like fullback when they haven't got the ball. So under that circumstance, it probably would be Bumo playing in that left role against. It's something to monitor, but spoiler for COTC tomorrow, we're pretty unanimous that Bumo is the right United attacking player to have. I presume you'll be going there, will you, on Wildcard this week?
Well, I've done it last night because he was going up in price, and it was Bruno 2, Bumo was the move I made. Despite that, Everton at home, West Ham at home, Wolves away as 3 of the next 4. I don't see myself adding a second. I don't know where I would go. Like defensively, there's nothing there that interests me. So it's Mbumo and nothing really from a Manchester United point of view for me right now.
I think that's probably right. I think Matthias de Ligt wants monitoring, not just because of the goal towards the end of the game. Harry Maguire potentially got injured again. I think if he plays the central centre-back, he's more likely to hit DEFCONs. He also becomes more of an aerial target on set plays if Maguire's unavailable as well, by virtue of becoming basically their best header in the team. And I actually think he's playing really well. I think it's interesting with him and Casemiro when they've been doing badly. I think just generally in the media, people have been very quick to criticise those players. They're not getting a lot of praise when I think they're actually doing okay at the moment. I think De Ligt's actually having quite a good season. I wouldn't go there for FPL, but wants monitoring. For Tottenham,
I mean, you've got Arsenal away now, so it's quite.
He always do well in that fixture.
And then after Fulham at home, it's Newcastle away. I
That's
did look
another
at
one
it.
we always do well in. Yeah.
Well, exactly. I looked at the Fulham at home game week 13 and think, well, it's a home fixture. On your ticker, it's a green fixture. And then Match of the Day decided to tell me that you have the least points at home of anybody in the league this season in 2025, which is 6 less than we have. Yeah, I know we've won our last 2 games, James. And that made me think, yeah, swerve. Who do I even pick?
Well, hold on. It is a green fixture primarily because Fulham haven't actually won a game this season without an own goal in it. And their away form's not great. And actually, they could have lost by more at Everton at the weekend. So that's right. However, it's the space, and you have to factor this in. You can't just look at a fixture ticker at the moment and go, yeah, so I'm going to free hit in 13 like you. And you go, yeah, Tottenham against Fulham at home. Right, I can tell you now, probably best pick for a Tottenham player on a free hit in 13 probably be Brennan Johnson. Because he's suspended for the game at PSG 3 days earlier.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to start that. So again, it's same consequence with us that we've had a few times recently, and it does get better for us after this next bit. But it's Arsenal Sunday away, PSG away Wednesday, and then we go to Newcastle away Tuesday. The Fulham game's the Saturday. Right, if he wants to rotate the team heavily and take a chance, it's probably the Fulham game. Although he could look at it and go, yeah, we ain't getting shit in these away games anyway.
Truth be told, though,
points against Fulham.
That spot, if I pick a Spurs midfielder for that free hit, will be a punt pick. It's not like I want something with good upside. And Brendan Johnson is that guy that he scores goals and does nothing else. But if he scores, it will be worth it. So I wouldn't hate it, if I'm honest with you. I wouldn't hate chucking in Brendan Johnson if I was really happy with my other 10.
It's usual for us, though. Can't start a fire without a spark, mate. No kudos, no party, mate.
Okay.
Like, okay, we've scored a couple of goals late on. But yeah, no kudos, no serious threat, basically. We don't know what the situation is, but all the word in the build up to the weekend was that he had every chance of being involved. So I presume it's not too bad. As said, I think the functionality he wants to do now with the left back pushing up the pitch and Porro playing a deeper role, almost forming like a back three in possession, he needs a couple of things to function correctly. It needs Destiny Udogie to play left back, because it's just not a suitable role for Jed Spence to be starting high and wide. He's a carrier. It needs one of Odebear or Simmons to play from the left to get them into like left 10 roles. So those things were absent from the start of the game. It finishes with Udogie left back, Odebear playing on the left-hand side. The balance is much better. That said, don't be surprised if for Arsenal away we play 5-3-2. Just a factor on that.
Just play 7-3.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if the team is near identical to the team that started at Paris Saint-Germain in the Super Cup final. So if Kudus is available, probably Kudus and Richarlison as the two. Sarin with Bentancur and Paulinho. Danso obviously in. I guess preference would be Udogie over Spence, but actually he might look at Spence as a better player to play up against Saka rather than Udogie, and I'd understand that particular call. So don't be surprised if it's a 5-3-2 for Tottenham against Arsenal. And we've had more great news on the injury front. So Colin Moani went off at half time, and actually he's been showing little glimpses recently without scoring that there's a player there. Fractured jaw, Suj, is the inside word at the moment.
Jaw.
Fractured jaw.
Okay.
Now, it could be that it's a couple of weeks and he plays with a mask. It could be as long as it's 3 months, I've read. So, and Solanke, he spoke about Solanke prior to the game. And when he was asked, so it's like keeps getting pushed back with him. And Frank was asked if Solanke was going to play before the end of the year. And Frank was like, I hope so. Oh, great, mate. Brilliant. Don't be considering Richarlison, guys.
Okay.
It's a nice finish for the goal, but he's not at it at all at the moment. Tottenham should be, at this point, a complete avoid. And anything you've got at the moment, you should be strongly considering selling. Yeah, but you tell us that every week, James. I can definitely tell you that before we go to Arsenal.
Yep. Everton 2, Fulham 0. You're right. I mean, they racked up 4 big chances to nothing.
And had about 10 goals disallowed.
Fulham. Exactly that. They had a ton of shots, out XG'd them. Very comfortable win in the end for Everton. Dewsbury Hall with a nice 9-pointer, though probably mostly on benches for people.
He took my slating of him as an FPL asset very personally at the weekend, I think.
Yeah. Any love for anything from either of these two sides? I mean, Everton are going to go on a very difficult run now. United, Newcastle, Bournemouth. Then they've got a nice fixture of Forest, but then Chelsea, Arsenal. It's a tough run all the way through to game week 18 now for Everton.
Yeah, I don't think you invest in Everton anything this week. If you were on Wildcard, then I guess Michael Keane is reasonable and Illiman and Dye is reasonable. But I think they're probably more players
Michael
to hold
Keane,
if you own.
Buy Richards instead of Michael Keane for the same price, with better fixtures, the more likelihood that I'm going to want to use him.
Yes, but you don't really want to be pissing about with, say, your 4.5-ish or so defenders, and Everton go top of the ticker once you hit game week 18. So if you can hide it for 4 or 5 weeks, then there's a really nice run of fixtures. Now, of course, you'd say, well, I might have to piss about with that later on because Brentford may be returning at some point, maybe in January. And that's true, but I don't think Everton will rush it. We discussed on the pod a minor concern of O'Brien maybe playing in place of Michael Keane. Just with James Garner obviously slotted into right back, which wasn't a surprise to myself or Sean at the weekend, in the sense we felt that it was something that could happen to help Everton with their build-up, essentially, because the quality in the fullback positions is really, really poor. So James Garner won't want to play right back, but particularly in games like this where they're expected to win, I think we can see it a little bit more. Because you're very happy to let Mikalenko and O'Brien have the ball in fullback areas if you're going to go and play Everton away. Garner is at least good in terms of his distribution. He'd be a good crosser if he plays out wide. His technique is really good. For anyone who's seen the free kick effort he had in the first half, he's a very good ball striker and technician. So I wouldn't be investing in anything Everton if I was on Wildcard this week personally. But I wouldn't run either. If you're on Keane, I think you probably try and hide it for United away. They've got a dreadful record at Old Trafford. And Dye's quite intriguing in the sense he's doing fine. Unlucky to get nothing again at the weekend. But obviously they have this kind of difficult run of fixtures coming up and then it gets good and he leaves for AFCON.
Right.
So with that in mind, do you start thinking, I should maybe be looking at chopping this? And I think there are other players at similar value that will potentially appeal and I would consider that, but I wouldn't run from him either. It's going to make, me and Sean discussed this, the kind of will to want Jack Grealish over Christmas. I can see that already now, because their fixtures will be so good from 18-21 and a die won't be there. And you're like, oh, I want a piece of this. Yeah, I probably wouldn't bother.
Yep.
And
Fulham
they're also going to miss Idris Gay over that period as well, and that'd be a big blow.
Yeah, Fulham have got a good fixture coming into Game Week 12, Sunderland at home, which they really should get points on the board. Well, look, as far as it goes, it's a promoted side and it's at their home stadium. But I fear for Fulham psychologically, should they drop into the bottom three, because there's only 1 point in it between Burnley, us, and Forest are only 1 point further than that behind them. It's quite compact at the bottom, basically, is my point. And following Sunderland, Tottenham, City, Palace, it's a tough run.
I'm not sure it is, actually. I think once you get beyond the Tottenham away and City home games, Fulham actually sit
after that. It is good, but Palace is difficult. Then you got Burnley, Forest, West Ham, sure. But Burnley away isn't the easiest game. Forest maybe a bit better on the dice. It's basically Fulham are more than capable of doing well in these games, right? They're particularly at home. But it's not a run that makes me want to steam into anything there. And even then, what assets do they have that are great? Like, you've got Joachim Andersen now. It's perfectly fine because you'll play him in the home games and maybe Burnley away, West Ham away.
He won't be coming with me on Wildcard.
He's not. So it was a short-term punt. Yep. You got some points last week.
Essentially, Andersen
You've got a DEFCON this week and you play him this week, right?
Andersen was a purchase to get me Ismail Assar. Yeah. Rather than I really want Joachim Andersen. It was just moving the money around. I felt for the 3 weeks, the 3 fixtures that they had was reasonable. Obviously, we started with Wolves at home, so that was fine as a move. And I think as a 4.5 defender, if that's what you want in your structures, he's fine. He's picked up DEFCON on the weekend despite being miles off it. They don't keep many clean sheets. He also doesn't have huge attacking threat particularly. I think probably only he and Josh King would be the FPL assets to consider. King's not started at the weekend, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's back in the team for the Sunderland game with Sasa Lukic is suspended for that fixture. And against Wolves, they played more like a 4-1-4-1 with Iwobi and King in front of Sander Berge. Should probably go back to that against Sunderland, I should imagine. But I would say his position in the team longer term, Josh King, is beginning to look on shaky ground. Just essentially, he hasn't provided an attacking return. He's playing at the 10. So it's putting a lot of pressure on other players to contribute attacking returns. And I think ultimately Fulham will be fine, Suj, as long as they've got a fit number 9. And I think Muniz has come on and gone off injured again. And Jimenez is playing with a bit of a hip problem that's been ongoing since that goal at Aston Villa. So neither of the number 9s are in great shape at the moment. And Marco Silva teams really struggle to function without a quality number 9. If they find that and get either one of those 2 boys up and running and properly fit, I don't have huge concerns about them, personally.
No. Do you still have huge concerns around West Ham or Burnley, James? It was West Ham 3, Burnley 2. Massive win at the London Stadium.
What's huge concerns? Huge concerns in comparison to Wolves, or huge concerns in comparison to the other 17?
Listen, the gap for Wolves now has become scary.
Barely surmountable.
Yeah. Look, I mean, we'll talk about maybe Rob Edwards another time, maybe on the Q&A later. I'm sure his name will get raised, but it seems like you're just taking a poison chalice there by taking the Wolves job, if that's actually how it transpires today. But it's definitely what it looks like.
I think it's a family choice.
Do you think they're going to get relegated?
Who, Wolves?
Either of these 2 teams, West Ham or Burnley. Wolves, we know.
I think it depends on Leeds' home form. But
See,
if you ask me right now, I'm going to say West Ham, get out of it.
Yeah, I would agree with you based on what I've seen right now. Another better performance. I wouldn't go so far as to say there was anything vintage about this. The performance against Newcastle was definitely better than this performance against Burnley. You said on the differential show that the game means more for West Ham than it does for Burnley. And that's how it played out in the first half an hour or 45 minutes, I would say, in the first half, really. Definitely the first half an hour. West Ham seemed just a little bit more edgy and nervous when in our play, whereas Burnley were a little bit more calm and controlled. And that's kind of how they got the goal for Fleming, who has done all right when he's been given a chance in the team recently. So I'm not sure if we'll see that stick. Once we got the equaliser, I think we calmed down a little bit and definitely came out with more intensity in the second half, got our noses ahead, probably just about deserved to win, but didn't make it easy for ourselves towards the end there as well. Was pretty horrible. I didn't think at any point that they were going to come back and make it 3-3, but
it was only like seconds to go, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But after we were 3-1 up, it was mainly all Burnley, and you did think, well, 3-2 is definitely a possibility, but 3-3 unlikely. It was all good. I mean, prior to this weekend, James, which team had the lowest possession stats in the league?
I'm going to guess it's you.
No.
Was it Burnley? Both of you, is it?
36% Burnley. And then to come to our place and get 57% of the ball tells you everything you need to know, maybe.
Game stay a little bit.
We absolutely let them have it. But
you
it
weren't
was similar
winning for that
against
long,
Newcastle. No. We scored quite late in the second half.
That's
interesting.
Nuno ball, mate. Get used to that.
But definitely midfield now, Potts and Fernandes going to stick. Fernandes had a very good game without producing any returns. Thomas Souček again off the bench. He's coming off the bench and playing as a striker, box crasher, just go up top and create some chaos, which has worked to good effect in the last kind of couple of weeks. So yeah, interesting for him as well. I don't think anyone's looking at West Ham assets with Bournemouth and Liverpool as the next two.
Keep going.
Yeah. All right. Well,
the next
for a little
six
while,
are atrocious, mate.
Yeah, there'll be points in there, but it's just.
Will there?
Yeah, I reckon there will be. There will be. I think Manchester United away, we won there last season. I think Brighton away, we can get points. But even Bournemouth away, the problem with Bournemouth away is their last two results. Like, they've had two bad results, which means they're going to be of the mindset at home that we need to turn this around and get back on track now, which doesn't help. So, yeah, I do think United away, Brighton away, maybe there's a couple of points there to be had. But, yeah, I wouldn't be looking at any West Ham assets other than if Freddie Potts gets the all clear, because he did go off with a knock. But if he is fit and you just need to cheap it out as cheap as you possibly can, because 4.4 is all you've got for your eighth attacker, then that's perfectly fine, because there isn't anything else at 4.4 that's playing now. But apart from that, I wouldn't be looking at any of it.
Yeah, Potts will be right on radar for me. He's hit DEFCON in an hour at the weekend.
His energy levels, I mean, he's all over it. He's a good player, really good player.
It's worth saying Fernandes was only one off as well. Paquetá was two off. Paquetá called suspended now for that trip to Bournemouth. He's hit the 5 yellow card threshold.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a blow just from a creativity aspect going to Bournemouth.
I don't know, I do think he has a habit, Paquetá, of going into business for himself. You've just said that about other players before. It just seems to lose his head. Like, I could have told you last week he was going to get a yellow, and I could have told you from his body language this week that he was going to get a yellow. It just seems to not have any common sense. If he's suspended, Magassa comes in alongside Potts and Fernandes moves further forward and plays in that role, I think we'll be a little bit less erratic, because Paquetá can be a little bit unpredictable and a bit crazy. So of course he's an excellent player. So you don't want to lose a player of his quality. But I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if Magassa can come in and Fernandes can fill his shoes.
Yeah, Potts is the only one under consideration for me,
and the only one who should be.
Bowen for me going into this week is either sell or fine. Potentially hold, but there's no way he became with me on the wild card. The plan with him was always, for me, he's in for the 12 weeks. It'll be what it'll be. I definitely didn't expect you get 6 goals over 2 games and he'd see none of it.
Yeah.
So
really bad luck. Really bad luck.
For Burnley, one thing I did want to shout out as well. I love on the Callum Wilson goal, by the way. The ball, Cole Walker heads out for a corner and he's screaming at someone, time.
I think it's Ugotcha Kuru.
And
I think
then
he let the cross come in originally. I'm pretty sure.
from the corner, time seemed to stand still for him as he watched Callum Wilson step in front of him, step round him and step in front of him, and stood there
And
and
nod
looked
it
at him
in.
for 2 seconds and did nothing about it. He's always had concentration issues, Carl. I think it's a real positive for Burnley that Zian Fleming has played like the last couple and scored a couple of goals in recent weeks. He scored two at Wolves, didn't he?
Yeah, he
And
did.
another goal
And
here in an away game.
the
So
first goal took really well, to
I
be honest
wonder
with
if he
you.
might stick in the team now at 5.3, but there's obvious threats there from Foster and Breuer came on at the weekend as well. So wouldn't particularly be looking at. I know there'll be people with, say, Calvert-Lewin and others at that price looking at ways out. I probably wouldn't chase to it. The Burnley player that's massively on radar for me, bar the obvious Dubravka second choice keeper, is Tuanzebe, who's hit DEFCON again at the weekend. And I've been thinking quite a bit over the last couple of weeks about Tuanzebe versus Bijol. And I think I've come to the conclusion that Tuanzebe for DEFCONs will be more reliable, i.e. me wanting to enter into a 3.9 defender. And it's purely because of the amount of possession numbers. I know Burnley have had good possession at West Ham at the weekend, but
Yeah,
they
but like I
won't in
said,
many games. Exactly.
the prior to this week is 36%, mate.
Whereas Leeds, I think, particularly in home games, actually do want to play and want to keep the ball. They're not overly threatening, but they want to play with it. So I think there's more opportunities for Tuanzebe to pick up DEFCONs. I think ultimately as well, Scott Parker teams are set up quite well. So there will be random odd clean sheets in there. There's not many weeks to go, oh yeah, I'm going to start Tuanzebe. But I think I've come to a conclusion, probably Tuanzebe over Bijol. It has 3.9s, which isn't a conclusion I wanted to make because it would mean obviously that Tuanzebe would be going in with the Dubravka. So it's like, oh, I don't want two from the same. I want one from each, basically. But yeah, Tuanzebe's on radar for me. Very, very little else from either of these two teams, but important win for you, Suj.
That was exactly my thoughts around Tuanzebe versus Bijol because I own Dubravka. I did look through if Petrovic was going to be my keeper, when does Petrovic have a bad fixture that I would play Dubravka? And it's not until they've got Man United away, Bournemouth, and then it's Fulham at home for Burnley. So up until Christmas, there's only that 1 week really where I'd say that Dubravka has a better fixture. And defender versus goalkeeper, I think is quite different. Like I'm never going to turn around and say I want to play Dubravka and Tuanzebe together. So maybe having two of the same is all right. Like you're not forced to play both together, right? You can play your other keeper, whoever you may choose. So, but it was my thoughts exactly, James, was similar to yours. In terms of 4.0s, I do think you can keep eyes on Hartman if you wanted, because he still does get down the left and create. Like he's as attacking a fullback as there is in that bracket at 4.0. The fact that the Sunderland boys are now 4.1 or 4.2 with Mukiele, if someone only wanted to spend 4.0, Hartman is all right, but then I'm back to what you were saying. Just go 0.1 cheaper and just take the DEFCONs because Hartman won't return that often that the assists will make up for the DEFCONs.
I mean, even in the little of the game I've seen, it's clear that they have a bias towards getting him up that left-hand side. So I'm sure he will contribute little bits, but yeah, essentially the game has made players like it. I know he's their highest scoring defender, but the game has made players like him not really interesting anymore, basically. It's really difficult to make a case for them, basically.
Yep. Good. James, all that debate, who will score against Arsenal next? When will they ever not keep a clean sheet? Greatest team ever, going to win the league by a country mile. You shit the bed in the 90-something minute. They shit theirs too. So the laundrettes in North London were doing well. And I bet it made your day to watch them balls it up right at the end there.
To be honest, it was just I've got double Arsenal defence like many people. I obviously shouted goal when Ballard scored. It was just nice to see him concede.
Yeah, and twice in one game as well.
All the things you said, bar the shit in the bed bits, are all still absolutely true. By the way, this is a great result for Sunderland, and I think their effort into the game warranted it. And I think we probably need to look at them now. We've kind of been looking at the fixtures for a while and go, well, when Haaland goes to Fulham, like this is a terrible fixture in 14, Salah's got Sunderland at home.
Yeah, no.
Listen, it's a better fixture for Haaland, guys. Sorry, that's where it's at now. They're going to stick with this back five for a while. They're not easy to play against. They're physically powerful. They've invested in a lot of that. Got good energy in midfield with Xhaka. I like Sadi. He gets around the pitch really well. Lafie's a tidy player. Traore
Even
obviously
the
flatters to the
goalkeeper,
sleeve.
Rose has been sound. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure he's top point scorer goalkeeper.
he
I want to
must
double
be. He
check
was
that.
ahead of Raya going into the weekend, so I presume that
Yeah,
he
he's
still is.
still just by a couple of points, but still for a 4.5 million starting keeper to be top of the tree right now,
They've
he's
now
tidy as well.
over the last couple of weeks, I think people like me had a big suspicion that they'd done really well at the start of the season, but there were games, Brentford at home, West Ham at home. It's like, I do kind of feel like you should do well in these sort of games. But having now won at Chelsea, drawn with Arsenal, right, they're showing now. And what I think they're particularly showing everyone over the course of this week, so a lot of people to watch the game on Saturday and obviously against Everton on Monday, like no one's going up to the stadium and light and having an easy day. It's just not happening at the moment. There will be consequence for things for them that are awkward, like certain players going to AFCON. But yeah, we need to get the green off them. Certainly going up there, it's not a green fixture.
Yeah, the
Where are they? Fourth,
physicality very
fifth,
difficult.
fourth, fifth in the league.
Yeah, something along those lines.
I'm
Let me
sure they
look
won't
at
stay there, but I
fourth.
generally think
Fourth.
that they'll be safe now. They're in no. I can't see them like falling like a stone. They're too
No.
physically powerful. In any given game, if they defend well, they're going to cause people problems from set plays. Ballard, he's an absolute animal. And I don't mean that in like a disparaging way. He's such a target. How many players do you see actually go up against the likes of Gabriel and Saliba and actually give them physical trouble and problems? If he was 4.0, he'd be in everybody's team. It's just a case of whether you want to find the justification to pay it, the bit extra for him. I don't think I can find that justification when ultimately the fixture run is still shite. So am I putting Ballard in my team every week because I think he might get attacking returns in some of these upcoming fixtures? I mean, I suppose Fulham away, you probably would play him, but there aren't too many after that for the rest of this year. But I think when it comes back round and they have a better run of fixtures later in the season, if he's still 4.5, 4.6, you should probably pay it. If he's still in the team. He's such a
Yeah,
threat.
yeah.
He's capable of what Clates was kind of telling us. Let's give him his due in pre-season. And Clates obviously knew him well because he was a boy who played for Arsenal as a kid. He is capable of that 17-pointer, mate. And that's like the holy grail. That's half my score this week, Suj.
Yeah, no doubt.
If I find somebody who gets it, right? So,
On the Alderate coming back in,
yeah.
because
So
I've got him. I'm debating whether to carry him through on Wildcard or not.
But
I could free up 0.2 by dropping him down to Bijol or Twanzebe, but I do still think Alderete is a good pickup because he'll pick up Defcons.
I wouldn't
and
say
attack
he's a
as
good
well.
pickup. I'd say he's a fine hold. I don't
Yeah.
think if you are picking up at this moment, say you're on wild card, one of them is going in as like your fifth defender, which is fine. You're not playing it much in the next couple of weeks, I don't think. What Spencer said to us on COTC last week was that when he's back, Alderete, that he probably comes back into the team and Geertruida probably moves to right wing back to replace Tri Hume. That's the most likely thing. So, yeah, if you're an Alderete owner sweating that he's going to get back in, one, you shouldn't be sweating on your 4.0 defender being available. But yes, he probably does come back in, I imagine. We think he might have even gone away to play for Paraguay during this international break. So, every chance to be back available for the Fulham game. For Arsenal, I suppose for them, you'd call this bad day at the office, but on a different day, they still win this fairly comfortably with
as
the
they had a
chances
chance,
that they had.
Supermende hits the bar. And,
Even after Brobby's equaliser, how was Calafiori not scored? And then Ballard puts in this incredible block against Mikel Merino. And you should remember that with Arsenal at the moment. There's no Havertz, no Gyökeres, no Jesus, no Odegaard, no Madueke, no Martinelli. Okay. I don't think they've got massive concerns, and ultimately they'll still keep a lot of clean sheets moving forward. That at the weekend is no reason to be discouraged in any way about Arsenal's defensive assets. And obviously, Saka owners have kind of had the real return this week that for many will have obviously led to a green arrow in a low scoring week.
The DEFCON and the little DEFCON
and DEFCON, yeah, which not for the first time this season.
Yeah.
I think he would have hit it once last season. I want to say I saw someone posted, forgive me. Someone does some great graphics on DEFCONs, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it is. But I think he hit DEFCON once last year. It's now the second time this season. And is that consecutive away games as well? Fulham and Sunderland? Probably is, isn't it?
For Saka?
Yeah, I don't think that's a trend though. Like he might
No.
not hit DEFCON again this season.
Burnley
So-
away was there as well. He didn't hit
Taking the
DEFCON in
finish
that.
really well. It's brilliant work from Rice to force the turnover. And obviously, this is a moment where Sunderland try and play out and Arsenal pinch it. Again, highlighting the difficulties of teams, I think, playing out from the back into midfield is that the majority of teams are pressing man to man so strongly. Rice is an incredible jeweler. Marino plays the right pass. Saka finishes it. Another goal for Trossard, who I think is a punty one that a handful will have gone to. No reason to think that he won't play against Tottenham again. In Gameweek 12, scored the winner in that fixture last season. He's capable. He's not a player that's a long-term hold. Neither is the case for Marino. Obviously, if he plays against Tottenham, will be very dependent, presumably, on Gyökeres's fitness. It'll be too soon for Havertz or Jesus to start, you should imagine. Yeah,
Trossard and Rice now same price, 6.9.
Rice,
I've obviously
unless
gone with Rice. It's the floor is just higher, isn't it? Really, with him, and the more all-round options to pick up points. That's why I think I've gone with Rice over Saka. I'd have to make some structural changes to get Saka in, but I just think I'd like the consistency of Rice.
Yeah, I think if you were looking for a 1 week punt, i.e. planning to wildcard in 13, which I know some of you would be at, I do actually think you probably look at different options other than Arsenal. There are many others that probably stand out more. Arsenal will beat us, but he probably won't be 10-0. He says, touch wood, we may well get slapped, right? But we probably don't. So you probably look elsewhere. Therefore, if you're looking Rice versus Trossard, it's Rice all day long.
Yep.
And I think he'll keep ticking over with the returns. There are some people still without Gabriel. I've seen so many people take -4s for Gabriel at the weekend. It's like enough. And there'll be more of it for those still not on as well. He's captainable in 12 against us. I mean that genuinely.
I agree with you. I was just about to make that same point. I was like, I don't hate anyone that wants to potentially captain him against Spurs.
I might even do it because it's the best thing for my life.
I don't know if it is the best thing for your life, James, but I won't talk you out of it.
I probably won't, actually. I probably will go with an offensive one.
Because you know what we say, James, play it your way. Go on, captain him.
Absolutely. Well, look,
go on, captain him.
Again, ultimately, yes, Haaland's missed the penalty, so those who've gone like Saka over Haaland this week won. And I guess you could say ultimately Haaland didn't even know when he did score, but has also missed the pen, so it could have been another obvious haul in there.
Monster.
This week, and I know Newcastle are really out of form, St James is different based. This is a week to look elsewhere. And Saka, I think, generally goes into consideration from that perspective as well.
Well, my bus captain is on Semenyo as it stands right now. So, yeah.
I just don't think that he'll necessarily get the space that you want him to have. He's off-putting. This isn't West Ham from 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah, we are sit behind the ball type West Ham. Well, we'll see. There are options, though, I think, is the point. Do you think Chelsea away at Burnley offer one of those, James? Because Chelsea 3, Wolves 0, possibly one of the most predictable results. No big chances for Wolves. Barely managed to get to 0.2 XG. Only 3 shots in the game, whereas Chelsea managed 26 big chances, over 3 in XG.
I want to say, because there's nothing to talk about here for fantasy from Wolves, and obviously, look, Rob Edwards is going to get appointed. Systems might change and whatnot. I think as I said earlier, I think he's taking the job for family reasons. Suj.
He wants to be closer. He's from Telford or somewhere, isn't he?
Yeah, it's not far. So I don't know. We talk about the football stuff, and maybe man wants to be closer to his family.
Well, look, I said it last
blame him.
week. I do think Wolves need to plan for next season now. Like if whoever you're appointing, you appoint knowing that there's a strong possibility you want them to get you out of the Championship next season. If Rob Edwards is your man for that, then appoint him now. And if you get out of it, great. But don't appoint someone thinking that there's a chance that you're going to get out of it, because that gap is building rapidly, and ultimately they don't have the squad of players.
Yeah, and also they don't have what they had this time last year, which was coming in some good fixtures.
Cunha as well.
Their next 4 away
Nouri
games
as well.
Their next four away games, Wolves, are Aston Villa, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester United.
Yeah, they've got Manchester
Oh,
United at
so
home
they
in
must
between
have
that.
good home games. Well, it's Palace, Forest, Manchester United, Brentford. Like it doesn't scream at you. They haven't
Yeah.
got the quality. But I do want to
Game week
say,
20, game week 20, Wolves fans, West Ham at home.
there you go. I do want to say that I thought João Gomez played really well, and it is beyond mental that they've played games without him. He played as well as against Casado as I've seen anybody else play this season, actually. He had some moments where it was a brilliant moment in the second half where he kept holding him off. It was really nice because Casado is just the best in the business at winning it back. He's a really good player, João Gomez, and I think he'll be playing for a top team next season.
If not January as well, James. Like if they're
Well, there is
cut
possibly,
adrift
yeah,
and they just
there
want
may
to take
be.
the money, and there's teams that are going to want. I hate to rain on Wolves when they're already down, but yeah, it could even be as early as January. So let's talk about Chelsea then. Obviously, Reece James gets his rest. Fofana, Chalobah are the two centre backs. João Pedro pops up with a goal. Plenty would have bought him this week.
Well, a couple again, yeah. Sorry, that's a couple in a row he's scored. Yeah, I think to go back to your earlier question about captaincy for 12, one benefit is obviously it's the early kickoff. You might get a leak, but then we didn't when they played at Nottingham Forest for the 12:30 after the last international break. On Enzo Fernandez, he's flagged. I don't know why they flagged him. It pretty much looks like it's an agreed rest because he's playing continually with a knee problem at the moment. It sounds like it's an agreed rest that he's not going to play for Argentina. So I see no reason why he won't play at Burnley in Gameweek 12. So please don't see the yellow flag and shit yourselves. João Pedro should also probably play, but you do have to factor in that they play Barcelona 3 days afterwards. So from a captaincy perspective, even if you are looking, oh, Enzo Fernandez, João Pedro play at Burnley. Yeah, look, if they're in a comfortable position, do they even get hooked early? Is there restricted minutes? With Fernandez, do you even look at it and go, well, he'll definitely want him against Barcelona? Does he start at Burnley? There is that. But I think he does, but it'll be get him off the pitch if they can. So I think from a captaincy perspective, no on Chelsea players. João Pedro played this slightly deeper position, as did Enzo Fernandez, because obviously they brought Delap into the team at the moment. I don't think that's worth looking at in terms of Leon Delap. The wingers played well. Garnacho created two really good goals, but we should factor in the opposition. He was brilliant on the last goal. And Neto, who'd moved into the 9 position later on, finished it really well. I don't think either of them are going buy picks for FPL personally. I think the ones to really keep an eye on at the moment for Chelsea, but he will get rotated for some of the easier games, is Fofana. He's only 4.4. And I think you're looking at a scenario now where he and Chalobah are the first choice centre backs. We need to move on from the Maresca comments in pre-season of Adebayo is the only one who can play at the middle of the back three. That's in the bin now. Fofana and Chalobah is their best combination, and therefore Fofana at 4.4 wants monitoring. However, I will say it again, as I've said several times earlier, and you need to think about this as well, Suj, with your strategy. I think they are going to hugely rotate at Leeds in game week 14. I would not be surprised if you get 7-8 changes from the team that starts against Arsenal 3 days earlier. They'll think they can get away with it. And even if they don't, he's going to do it anyway. I'm very confident of that. So that wants moving on to any you're thinking about Chelsea players now, because then ultimately what you're looking at is Burnley away. And we're saying all question marks over minutes with the Barcelona game 3 days later. Then Arsenal at home, rotation for Leeds away, then Bournemouth away. Like, how good is that run then suddenly? When you break it down and put your lens on it a lot more, I don't think there'll be any Chelsea on my wild card. But Fofana's interesting. And Sanchez is interesting as well. He's only 4.8 or so, isn't he? You and I have been looking at like goalkeepers in like the 4.5 range going on shit. Like Sanchez at 4.8, right? He's going to be consistent enough, isn't he? But even him,
right.
honestly, I promise you, I would not be that shocked if Jorgensen played at Leeds. They did this in exact the same period last year at Southampton, where he rotated the old team by Palmer, didn't he? And it was like fluke for everybody that owned Palmer that he still played. Admittedly, a lot of people captained him and he didn't have a great return. I think he just scored and he could have had a lot more. But yeah, we could be looking at something like that as well. And also Palmer, he's obviously targeting being back for these Barcelona Arsenal games. So that's going to have an impact on the likes of João Pedro and Enzo
Pedro.
Fernandez a little bit as well. So yeah, look, they're doing well. I think they've had a good run. They're probably, considering the awful result against Sunderland, have put themselves in a better position than I think many Chelsea fans might have thought they'd be in at this stage of the season. And you would look at them as shoo-ins for top four, I think. But
Mm.
probably not any more than that, I don't think, at this stage.
Okay, let's talk about the Sunday games, James. We'll wrap through some of these as well. Aston Villa 4, Bournemouth nil. I mean, you could argue the scoreline flatters a little bit. I mean, two big chances for each, and the expected goals for both was pretty similar in 1.7 and 1.6.
Factor the penalty in that, though. That's half of Bournemouth's
yeah,
XG,
true.
isn't
But
it?
should Semenyo score the penalty at 2-1, maybe game state changes quite a bit, and Bournemouth then come back and pick something up because they've come from behind
Well,
this season
Martinez
and
made
done
one
all right. But
astonishing save from a deflected Alice Scott effort as well.
so I think it could have gone one way, ends up going the other, and Aston Villa quietly and surely, James, they've crept themselves up to 6th in the table and doing really well. Like super interesting for me for game week 13 on the free hit because obviously Wolves at home. I think I could see myself with one defensive, whether it be Cash or Conser, because they're quite cheap, really. And also Morgan Rogers is on my potential free hit as well. I don't really want them on the wild card or longer term, Brighton, Arsenal afterwards. Then West Ham's all right, but Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal again afterwards. Long term, not really interesting, but diving in for that Wolves at home fixture, very interesting.
Yeah, the only problem with that is you're probably going to have an influence whatever happens the Thursday before. So play Young Boys at home, which is a decent fixture in Europa the Thursday before. Ultimately, though, after Wolves, it's Brighton away on the Wednesday and then Arsenal at home on a Saturday. So they've got the dreaded kind of Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. So Rodgers, my best guess would be probably doesn't play in Europe and then plays the three league games. With Watkins, I don't know if he plays all three of those league games. So if he played against Young Boys, I'd be thinking, I don't know if he starts against Wolves. And they'll think they can get away with Barlam playing there against Wolves, for example. So you probably have to judge it as and when it comes around. If Watkins didn't play against Young Boys and you wanted to put him in, fine. There wouldn't be much reason to put him in otherwise. I mean, ultimately, what's this? 4-0 and returns for Watkins are what?
Nothing.
No. And I had to look at some of it, the data of a lot of the number nines last week who were in the league playing for the same team last year and doing a bit of comparison because I had a bit of a theory that the nines were having less shots this season than last season. And,
Unless your name's Mateta.
yeah, Mateta and Haaland are up and kind of anomalies,
Yeah.
but most others are actually down a little bit. But Watkins isn't just down, mate.
Yeah, well, he was never on my.
Watkins is in a kind of avenue of having like one shot every three games at the moment.
He
Like,
he
it's
was
so
he was
far off.
he was never in my free hit thoughts. With Thiago Haaland, Mateta with United at home were more interesting.
If
United
you're
at
on
home
free
for
hit,
Mateta's still all right.
if I'm on free hit in 13, if Ollie Watkins doesn't start against Young Boys, he's going in, mate.
I'm
If it
getting
were me,
Rodgers.
it would be
I'm
me. It'd be going in.
Rodgers and Cash. I can understand that though, because obviously Wolves at home is a
Well,
prime
yeah.
fixture. Villa are interesting. I mean, look, Leeds away, Wolves at home. They've got patches of green and good fixtures. They'll do all right. The home games, Arsenal, Manchester United, the more difficult games are at home, where they've been better. You think you'll come out with any Villa on wildcard? Anything that you want to go and get right now?
No, I think Lee Jackson kind of summed it up best on COTC before they went to Liverpool, talking about Martinez. Like you almost start looking at Martinez, which doesn't feel worth it. I know he's got the pen save and a nice haul this weekend. You're looking at him because the Villa defence aren't worth considering because they're terrible for DEFCON.
Yeah.
So like Conser keeps a clean sheet this weekend, sitting on my bench. Yay, great. It's only 6 points, and that's all it's ever going to be.
Yeah.
Doesn't offer enough offensively. None of the defensive guys do. Matty Cash will chip in with the odd bits. Wouldn't be surprised if he didn't get another attacking return all season. So if you were looking defensively, it's Martinez. And then I think, well, should just be going Sanchez if I'm going up to that sort of value. And the answer probably feels like yes on that. Offensively, if I was to go something on wildcard 13, or if you're on wildcard now, you're doing it for the next one or two and looking to move that straight on. Ultimately, if you're wildcarding over this period, you are forced to look at a few short-term things because you know you're getting them 5-3s in 16. So ordinarily, if you think on a wildcard, well, I don't want to do anything for a few weeks. But you're gonna, if you wildcard now, you're building up free transfers that have got to be used before you get to 16. So it's okay to almost look at, right, this player's a 1 week punt, this player's a 2 week punt, this
Yeah.
player's a 3 week punt. So for me in 13, the standout from that perspective is Villa versus Wolves. So maybe I might look at a Rodgers or a Watkins, but I'd probably only look at them if they don't play that Thursday night game beforehand, because there's a consequence of what's after. So even still, you could go, oh yeah, I think Watkins starts against Wolves. If they're in a position where they're 2 up at half time, it might be coming off at like 55 minutes or so and going, right, there's two bigger games to come. And I think it's worth saying Villa have managed, one of the reasons they're doing all right, they've managed the fixtures after European games really well. I think they've won maybe even all of them so far this season. And we know that Thursday Sunday thing can be a mentality slog. Like I felt actually that Bournemouth honestly would go there and win this weekend in part for that.
Yeah, me too.
So this is a great result. The scoreline is, it's not a 4-0 game, but we've seen a number of games like that this season. But it's a great result. Really is a great result because Bournemouth are a good side, not a joke. But for FPL,
Yeah.
nah. Unless it was like 1 week punts for 13 or 2 week punts if you're going now in your case, Suj, no, no Villa consideration. There's nothing there value wise to
No.
feel good enough. On Rodgers' assist, by the way, I've seen a lot of moaning about this on socials about Rodgers not getting assist yesterday for Nana's goal. Read the rules, guys. Really, really sorry about this. So intended destination kicks into play if the ball leaves the penalty area. So it is silly. Like if Onana picked the ball up in the penalty area, Rodgers would have got the assist. But because it goes to the edge of the box, they deem the intended destination, which clearly a Rodgers pass is Buendia. It's then half cleared to the edge of the box and Nana scores. So under the rules, whether you agree with them or
Doesn't
not, it's up
count.
to you. It's not an assist, no.
Bournemouth, obviously, off the back of 2 away defeats, but it is at City and Villa, so we can't really give them any shit for that because it's 2 tough places to go. And then they walk into West Ham at home, Sunderland away, which will be difficult, but then Everton at home. You're not really moving on any Semenyos or Sinessis or anything like that, right? You want to play him for the home.
I've seen people talking about moving on Semenyo, Suj.
If he scored the penalty at the weekend, would they be having the same conversation? No.
So let me get this right. We carry through Man City and Villa away, and now he's got West Ham at home. Now we consider selling.
Yeah.
Like
no.
each to their own if that's what people want to
No.
do. But as you said, you might even captain him.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't hate it. I doubt I will. I probably end up defaulting to Haaland, but I doubt I will. But I don't hate it. I think it's perfectly viable. Even your Sinessis and whoever else you have, and I think Petrovic at 4.5 is still the standout keeper based on the fixtures that they've got.
I think Semenyo is playing a psychological kind of impact with people quite similar to Bumo last year. So game week 14 last year, it was like Bumo's coming into really tough fixtures. Okay, I've had my bit from him. Let's take him on. Now, the problem is it never gets awful for Bournemouth. So you can look on 15 and go, oh, it's Chelsea at home, Man United away. They've done well at United the last couple of years, by the way. And it's a sort of transition game that probably would suit him well. Then there's Burnley, Brentford. They're good fixtures before it's Chelsea, Arsenal gets tougher again, right? So if you looked at, say, just the next 7, for example, for Semenyo, like it's still really good. I mean, over the next 7, for example, I've got Bournemouth sitting 3rd on my ticker. And just over the next 3, I'd have them sort of like in the top 5 as well. I need to change the green on Sunderland. But West Ham at home, Everton at home, they're still perfectly reasonable fixtures. So, okay, let's maybe have a sit-down conversation again in 15. Might be those who have not been on want to look at this period at, say, continuing to take it on. Because I think those who have been taking on were like, okay, these fixtures are tough. I'll keep taking it on. But when it hits game week 12, I'm buying him. And I still don't mind if people want to do that. I'm sure he'll do absolutely fine.
Remember, he's not going to AFCON, so he's not a problem
Correct.
that you'll have to deal with further down the line.
Ghana didn't make it, so I get to keep Kudos if he's fit as well. Just a couple of other notes on Bournemouth. Milicevic played again. So that's now Villa away and Forest at home. Milicevic has come in at centre-back to play alongside Senesi. We did think that the selection against Forest was possibly down to aerial and physicality threat. That doesn't really therefore make sense against Villa. So it just means that Diakite, I think, is off the table now as a potential option. So it's Senesi or Truffer if you want to save the money, or I think Petrovic is in a lot of people's thoughts, for those who want a cheap goalkeeper, you go, they're a good side. I'll take it. I don't love him as an individual per se goalkeeper option, though. I don't actually fancy him much as a goalkeeper personally. And there's not much point looking at the rest. That said, I could end up looking at a 1 week punt here, Suj, of something like Tavernier. I'm not sure if that's where I'd want my last transfer to be, but if I end up having an injury and want to take a 1 week punt in midfield, I'm going to be drawn to look at players like that, I think. Particularly as I know I'll find picking the Bournemouth team easier than I will picking the Liverpool team in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still a bit of a way away, so let's wait and see where we
Evan
get to.
Nilsson back in the team, that will stick now. So, Krupi owners, you're going to continue getting minutes and he'll be involved, but Evan Nilsson will be first choice again now.
Yeah. Good. Right, let's go to Brentford 3, Newcastle 1. Obviously, Brentford scored 3 against Liverpool a few weeks ago at home, and that's why I was quite confident that they would score again, although I was pretty nervous with Thiago until he did put the penalty away. And there's every chance he sticks with me through Wildcard rather than going to João Pedro just because of his consistency. But he's proven to be a hell of a player. And Brentford actually do have they've been doing really well. And Nathan Collins, his interview post-game that I listened to, spoke really well of how they've been planning and organised and structured, and have a little bit more trust in Brentford than I did maybe at the start of the season because we didn't know what Keith Andrews would bring. Obviously, Dan Burns, red card. Do you know what? I thought the first one, I actually thought he caught him on the first one more than he caught him on the second one.
Agreed. I think everybody feels like this, by the way.
So you're not alone. Is the ref just evening it up a little bit? Maybe. Who cares? He's gone now. And quite a few would have punted it on him. So you've got a suspension to deal with there now. Newcastle away from home and Newcastle at home. This is Everton, Rex and T-Rex is now, the mantle has passed to Newcastle now.
Yeah, good shout that. I would guess for Burn owners who probably weren't intending to play him against Man City anyways, it's probably like if you were going to get a suspension, it's not terrible timing because the fixtures afterwards are pretty good, right? Everton, Tottenham, Burnley, North East Derby looks more challenging now. There was some okay fixtures there. What I liked most about Collins' comments, Suj, was actually when he said, I want people to feel like they look at the fixture and go, Brentford away, like it's going to be a pain in the arse. And it has felt like that a lot. Yeah, a lot, particularly the bigger sides. So, I mean, they have their results at home, considering the fixtures they've had, have been great. I think back to speaking to Tom Med in pre-season, going, your first 6 home fixtures, mate. Like, if you don't do well away from home, I'm really concerned for you. And actually, bar the West Ham game, they've not been that great away from home, right? But the home results have been really good, considering the fixtures they have. I wonder if they might struggle in some of the easier ones moving forward longer term, because now, for example, they play Burnley at home in 13. Expectation from everybody will be Brentford win, and Burnley are not going to go up there and play aggressive. They're going to play low and mid block at certain times and say, what have you got? Oh, and we'll deal with your aerial, not a problem. It's quite intriguing. That said, I will want Brentford assets then. Thiago, as I said to you, Suj, I feel like Thiago, Mateta, Haaland as a front three is beginning to feel to me like it could just get left, subject to injuries. There are kind of a structure points that works. You've got Haaland at his big price, Mateta at 8, Thiago is probably going to be 6.5-ish by the time I get there. But from a structure perspective, it can then be moved slightly up or slightly down from Mateta or Thiago if needed. But I think just leave them. Yep. And Kevin Shardy, I don't think for 13, but from 16, I really think he's going to be popular because I think he's going to land at a period where players like Bumo and Ismail Assar are going to disappear. And even though we possibly look at him and go 7 million, it's more than your Sars, Rices, etc. at the moment, it will just fall for people to think this is right. And I really like him as an option. I think if he was 6.5, it's just that difference that he's more than the Rices, Sars. I think if he was 6.5, he'd been really popular by now. And I think he'll do really well over the Christmas period. And I think he'll become popular. So I think Kevin Shardy needs good monitoring. I intend to probably over that period, they've got some really good fixtures there to potentially go Shardy and Thiago. So from 16, you've got 3 out of 4 at home. Leeds, Bournemouth, Tottenham. There's a trip to Wolves in there as well. Trip to Everton in 20. Like, it's never terrible, mate. There's Sunderland, Forest home games in January as well. It's all right. I can see me having both Thiago and Sade for that. Defensively, as
If
said,
you were James, if you were short of money, would you double up with Django instead?
I think you could over
It's a
that
million
period.
cheaper.
The problem with Dango is, though, if they took a viewpoint to say a back three against Bournemouth or Tottenham, which they could do, Utara don't play. It's become
Right.
Sade and Thiago as the front two. So that's the problem with Utara. Is if they switch system, that he's the one that comes out the team, basically. So, no, for me. But you would look at the majority of them fixtures from 16 onwards and think, well, this should play more like a 4-2-3-1, basically. And in which case, yes, he could be an alternative to look at. But I'd think that's waiting into a problem. I think Sade will be a really good asset, I think, from December for a long period.
If I have the money, I do quite like. I'm torn on the punt for Game Week 13. If I'm honest with you, with Sade, part of me thinks, yeah, he's a good asset and it's a good fixture, and the other part of me is Burnley are going to sit in, and it's a low block. And so, do I see Brentford going off threes, fours, and fives?
But
Probably
he's also
not
now
in the way that
he's,
they can
he's
against
starting to get
Newcastle
some
or
ugly
Liverpool.
goals as well. So the goal he got at the weekend is an ugly goal. It's a header from a long throw, so he's in the right position. He scored, I want to say, a headed goal from a corner at Ipswich towards the end of last season. So it's not just the kind of the goals against Liverpool is kind of more associative of what you expect from him. He's getting some ugly ones as well, mate. So you're on free hit 13. Yeah, he'd be going in, mate. And
Alongside Thiago.
yeah, and I'd be considering a defensive one under that circumstance as well for you. But unfortunately for me, I always thought I would land to wildcard and want Vandenberg. I know he's just one off at the weekend, but there's not enough consistency in them DEFCONs, I think, to
Big Coyote,
truly
innit?
want it.
If you're free hitting, go for the upside. Just whacking Coyote.
What,
Have a bit
assists
of fun
from
with
long
it.
throws? It's quite
Yeah,
remarkable, this, isn't it?
and have a bit
The
of
thing
fun.
is, if the second point of contact, if the first point of contact is defensive and the second point of contact is a Brentford player, you are going to get assists from Coyote, basically.
Yeah,
No, there's no point, though. Unfortunately,
Okay.
Kelleher is reasonable as well. It also falls in line with Petrovic. I actually rate the shot stopping ability of those two goalkeepers too much personally. I think Petrovic longer term fixtures probably a bit better. Newcastle, I covered them on Talking Tactics last week, looking at their away form problems before this game. And I had a theory that I mentioned on this podcast last week about pressing, that they were conserving some energy in away games to counteract the problem of obviously playing European football. We knew 2 years ago they couldn't play at a high intensity all the way through. What I found in my analysis was that actually pressing isn't the problem. What their major problem away from home is creativity. Don't create enough away from home. Their expected goals conceded away from home prior to the weekend was actually second best in the league, but their XG away from home is 17th. Now, away from home, that's just not good enough for a team of Newcastle's capability. I think they're going to want to look at, in games like this, getting someone in the 10 position, whether that's Ramsey, who's a more of a ball carrier, or maybe putting Miley in the team and moving Guimaraes into that position because he can be creative, or whether it's Voltamade deeper and Visser in front of that when he's available. Newcastle have got to look at this because the away form is so bad. It don't matter what they do at St James's Park. That's not going to have them in contention for top 5 unless they sort this out. And they've not, by the way, had a brutal run of fixtures away from home. They have, over the course of dating back to a victory at Aston Villa in January 2024, not beat any team away from home that didn't finish in the bottom 8. And their away games this season, who have they played of the top teams away from home?
No one.
They haven't. Bournemouth, okay. Villa, okay. All right, they haven't. So it's not a new thing, this, with Newcastle in terms of away form. It's slack, and the big problem for them is creativity. And that's not just, by the way, that 10 space, fullback's big issue. Get Lewis Hall back in the team, for me. Like, I'm a big fan of him. Obviously, Livramento is a miss at the moment. But Newcastle, as a consequence, by having a back four that has Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento as fullbacks, will be more creative because they go up and down. And it will create more space inside. At the moment, you've got a Kieran Trippier, who, with all respect, is obviously getting on. He can't get up and down the pitch like he used to. And Dan Burn has been brilliant for Newcastle, but ultimately, it's restricted in terms of what it is as a left back, right? get Hall and Livramento back in the team, you'll find Newcastle do much better. Then there's a difficult choice he's got to make in terms of centre-back. For me, in my opinion, Newcastle's best pairing at centre-back would be Botman and Chow. The Dan Burn owners might want to take note of that. And also, if they do really well against Man City and Lewis Hall comes back in the team, you can't not then think there's a chance that that sticks. So it's just another one where Newcastle are coming into good fixtures after Man City. I want a wild card. I want to get some of their assets. It's awkward.
Yeah, I mean, the better fixtures, Everton, Sunderland, away fixtures, those are tough places to go. They're tough places to go.
Yeah, but the two home fixtures in 14 and 15 are brilliant.
They are.
And I wouldn't be surprised if across those 2 game weeks, Newcastle scored 5 or 6 goals, right?
Yeah. I'm not looking at it on Wildcard, and I'm not looking at it on free hit. I'll worry about it in 14 when I will have a couple of transfers.
Pope,
cool.
by the way, is concussion. So obviously with it being
but he's got 2
break,
weeks, so he should be
every chance he's back. Joel Linton took a heavy whack to the knee. Not sure at this stage if that's serious or not. I suspect probably not. And no doubt against City and at St James's Park, they will want to play Joel Linton. And I understand that, but they need something a bit different in away games.
Let's talk about Crystal Palace 0, Brighton 0. I mean, we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but I heard that this is the first time, James, that this game has ended 0-0 since they've both been in the Premier League. I think they had 8 or 9 meetings prior and no 0-0s. So you know.
I went round to my parents yesterday afternoon, take Harry over there. Happy birthday, Harry. 7 today.
Oh, is he? 7?
Yeah, he won't be watching. But yeah, where does that time go? Dad decided he wanted to watch Palace against Brighton, so that's what we watched. He's useless, isn't he? It's terrible. Actually, do you know what? It wasn't. It became apparent probably about 20 minutes ago that this would probably end 0-0. But it had a really good vibe to the start of the game. And Palace actually were without one of their core players, obviously Mark Gay unavailable. So Canvot played at left-sided centre-back. Had some good moments, bad moments. I think more good than bad. Definitely a good moment to pull out of a challenge with Jorginho Rutter. You've been caught on camera. And it was the first time I ever liked, the VAR announcement where the referee says, after review. Like, it's so terrible, isn't it? After review. I love the fact that the referee, I forget who it was, he told the whole crowd, Rutter's dived. He called it simulation, obviously. But that's quite something, isn't it? So when a player gets booked for simulation, it's like, well, people can obviously make their interpretation and it sends a message that this player has cheated. But I think that's the first instance where I've actually seen a referee tell a crowd this person has cheated. And I quite like it's the only time VAR has been used in that way. And I liked it. It's a really bad dive from Rutter. This is where VAR absolutely does work, because that would have been kind of a robbery if that was given as a penalty. Yeah, in real time, it did look like it might be. Brighton missed some good opportunities in the first half. I thought Minter's execution at the end, if I owned him, that would have drove me insane. He had some good chances, both in terms of his delivery from wide positions, and he had one brilliant chance where I think he's trying to bend it for the far corner and he ends up dragging it wide of the near post. Really frustrating. There's a player in there that has a real ceiling to go to, but he's got to find the top end output. I don't suppose if you've got that, there's some good fixtures coming up. Don't run away from that. Stick with that for a few more. And that would be the same case if you've gone for Danny Welbeck. For Bruggen, I hear more and more people talk about him. And of course, I benched him this week. It is 2 clean sheets in a row. I will play him in Gameweek 12 at home to Brentford.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be running to them defensively.
And you're not carrying him through. Mint is a consideration for me as a punt in 13 with Forest away. But I think I'd rather find the money and try and get Sade in, to be honest with you, instead of Minter. But
Diego Gomez stood out again. He had one good effort in the first half, which I thought he was going to score actually, but he's ended up hitting it straight at Henderson. He's only 4.9. The problem, as I explained, I think on my Ask James stream last week, is like Mitoma's probably about off the international break. He comes back in the team for one of Rutter or Gomez in these forthcoming weeks.
I'm really struggling to get excited about Brighton assets, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
I agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
them fixtures are good,
Minter's
right? Brentford at home,
alright.
Forest away, Villa at home, West Ham at
Yeah,
home.
do you know what it is with Minter? I mean, he's done all right this season. It's 1 goal, 5 assists. He's never got double figures. He's never. He doesn't feel explosive. He feels more like he'll tick along and do all right. If that's the case, I'd rather just pick up a Declan Rice or a Enzo or something. I know that they're a little bit more than him. What's he, 6.5? Minter. Let's have a look here.
No, 6-1-ish or so,
Six.
I think.
He's 6 still.
6.
But yeah, it doesn't make. Just can't get excited about owning them, and I also don't feel like by not owning him, he's not going to hurt me in any way. Like his ownership's going to stay low enough. It's less than 5% at the moment. Palace, on the other hand, do have some good fixtures and also some particularly high ownership around their assets. Like Mateta can stay. I'm going to add in a defensive one as well. We think Gahey will be back after the international break, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, the smart thing for Palace and him to do here would be get him out of that England squad, right? Like it or not, that's what they should be doing here. And there's also agreements on a few others. So Chris Richards has been given time off with USA, which is good news for. I know you were considering him, for example.
Yeah, just because of price, to be honest with you, more than anything else.
Mitchell has been rotated a little bit with Sosa. Munoz is just a machine, so I wouldn't be concerned about that. Sarr obviously goes into a zone now where you know he's going to disappear for AFCON in a few weeks. But again, I would look at next 4. Wolves, Burnley, Fulham away. In a weird way, the fact that those games are away, I think, suits him a little bit more. And Manchester United on transition might be fine in 13, both for him and Mateta as well. I definitely want one defensively. I think the most likely one for me will be Lacroix, Suj.
In the middle, I was going to say like Richards 4.5. Gahey's in and around that 5 million. Lacroix similar. Munoz 5.7. The gap from Richards to Munoz is pretty big, 1.2 million.
I think we're at a stage now, and it's nothing to do with Gay not playing at the weekend. But if you're looking at that value, I think it's Lacroix over Gay personally. I think there will be returns from him. He was an underperformer in terms of, admittedly, small XG data last season. He's a bit of a unit. If they do end up defending in kind of low block, that's where I think you can see some DEFCONs appear for him. It's not going to be massively consistent, but also they are very good defensively. Yeah. And he does carry a little bit of a threat offensively. So I'm looking at him as an option that I kind of use as like 11th, 12th man.
He's had 6 DEFCONs, so has Richards. So they're even on the DEFCONs this season so far.
Yeah, the problem with the Palace players and DEFCONs is it moves a lot. They're all, even the wing backs are really capable because Mitchell and Munoz are both good ball winners. They're all capable of hitting DEFCONs and they do jump to one another a little bit. Lacroix's played every minute of every game this season, all competitions, including Carabao, Conference League, the absolute lot. So there might be a bit of pressure on him, but you would imagine that the rest will hopefully come from him in the Conference League. That said, as the central centre-back, he's not tasked too much with coming out from the ball. He's got the least, I guess, physicality workload within the team. So if a player is going to play over and over again, like it's more likely with a centre-back, isn't it? So I like him. I would prefer to go Munoz, but I don't think it's probably going to stretch when I want to do it personally. So I might actually get chopped from me.
He's him and Jared Bowen.
Not because I want to get rid of
right?
it. I just don't know if I want to stuck with all 3 of them.
Him and Jared Bowen fighting it out for Points Dodger of the Season award at the moment. Well, particularly the last couple of weeks for you. It's
coming for him though, and I'm aware of that. I'm hoping it comes against Wolves, and I go, thank you very much. That's kind of my point.
What's Ismail Assar's ownership now? Like, let's have a look.
Decent. He's decent. And by the way, it wouldn't if I do cut him when I wildcard, it wouldn't be cutting him because I want to get rid of him. It'd be cutting it because that's the area of the team I want to take some more punty picks, essentially. And I know that he is obviously going to disappear for
12.9%. It's not huge considering when you factor in how much is dead. I think he's
one of them. He's really
live,
important within the community. So you see that a lot in kind of reflection. And he's popular within the space of the community and the content creators. So he will continue to have popularity over these next couple of weeks. I mean, Wolves away, I'm not going to put you off buying any Palace player that you want to go and buy if that's what you want to do. Yeah. Fixtures are okay. If you just look at the next 3 away fixtures, go Wolves, Burnley, Fulham. I said, how many points do you think Palace get from those 3 games? Burnley and Fulham away. Just move the Man United home fixture for a
One,
minute.
two, three.
Just them 3 away games.
Okay, just the three again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can sit five or 7.
Yeah.
A win and 2 draws, or 2 wins and a draw.
Yeah, I would. That's my expectation. Then would probably be 7 across those 3 away games.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's 9.
Yeah, I think 7, but I'd be conservative to say 5. I probably don't want to be too overly optimistic. So yeah, definitely worth holding out for those assets. Right, let's talk. What have we got next? Nottingham Forest. Sean Dyche does a win, James. Sean Dyche does a win.
It's not his first, Suj. It's his first Premier League victory, obviously, with Forest, and it's come from a position of being behind. And I was when I heard Leeds scored, I was concerned. That concern lasted about a minute or two because it didn't take Forest long to get back on level terms. Put Sangari in the team in Douglas Luiz's absence. Probably thought that Yates would play. Otherwise, we're kind of forced into selection with what's available. We do have a number of players injured at the moment: Wood, Hudson-Odoi, Zinchenko, Bakwa. Douglas Luiz, Olarena's still a few weeks away. They've got some issues at the moment. But you almost forget about the likes of James McAtee and Amari Hutchinson. And Hutchinson had a real nice impact towards the end of this game with the cross for Gibbs-White's goal and obviously winning the penalty as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe looks at a little bit of a run coming up now. That might not be till after the Liverpool game, because you imagine they'll go to Liverpool and go very low block and not put too much pressure on the ball, other than obviously in Anderson's area, because why restrict that man from going and pressing and trying to win the football for you? It's a brilliant weapon. Yeah, very important victory for Forest. Wouldn't be looking at any of their assets for FPL at this moment.
No, though I'm carrying Elliot Anderson through. I said it at the start of the season when he started playing well. We obviously had the beautiful assist in Gameweek 1, not a single attacking return afterwards. He was DEFCON dodging for quite a few weeks at the start of the season as well, but it always felt like there's going to be a week where the DEFCON and the attacking return all comes together. He didn't get any bonus at the weekend, but so be it. He's 5.3 now. I've lost a little bit of value. The only place I could see to go from him would be to drop down to Xhaka or Potts. But at that point, to be honest with you, I'm happy to keep Elliot Anderson. I do think there's an asset in there that will tick along nicely. So I'm gonna hold him, James. I'm gonna hold him.
Okay. I'd prefer the saving on Potts and just put the 0.9 somewhere else in your team, I think. You have to remember with the penalty, before people get excited about that, no Wood, no Jesus, no Gibbs-White.
Gibbs-White was off the pitch as well.
So
I'm not sitting here saying
one off there.
Yeah, forget about it. I'm not sitting here saying Elliot Anderson is on pens, but he is on set pieces and various stuff. Like I said, though, as much as I've been saying it's coming, first attack and return since game week 1. So actually, it's the anomaly.
I'll tell you what else I think is coming. Is a managerial change at Leeds. I don't know when, but I think it's coming. I think if they don't sort out this away form and looking at fixtures coming up, it doesn't feel like that'll be anytime soon. They're putting such a pressure on their home form. Now, their home form has been good so far this season, but the fixtures coming up at home, Villa, Chelsea, Liverpool, Palace, like it's not screaming that there'll be points at home. Manchester United's one after that as well. So the next 5 at home's all pretty tough. I would view them truthfully at this moment as near on the weakest team away from home in this league, alongside Wolves. Actually, Wolves have feel like they've got a bit more threat offensively than Leeds to me. I just don't fancy them scoring any away game at all. I know they have this weekend.
I agree with you. You've just made me think about one of the funniest moments of the weekend for me, James. So in the second half of these games, I popped out to pick up a couple of things with the kids in the shops.
Garden
Centre, driving back. It was a little bit like that. Driving back, I had 5 live on, just the build-up before the City-Liverpool game. I'm pretty sure it was the build-up, the City-Liverpool game. And the kids are in the car, and you had the contrast. They did the managerial interviews after the game. And are there 2 managers with more different voices than Sean Dyche and then Daniel Farker? So I'm sitting there with the kids and Sean Dyche, oh, he's got gravel in the voice. Yeah. And then he switches, Daniel Farker? And yes, we tried to press, but we didn't press very well. And the kids literally were like,
gonna get me.
Who is that guy? who is just talking now because we literally had a conversation about how Sean Dyche talks like he's got gravel in his voice and he's a
Yeah,
roughest
it's all
guy. And then Daniel Farker comes on with his high pitched voice. It was pretty funny. I see what you're saying. He's got a history with
it's
Norwich as well. I think he's unfortunately a manager that probably gets stereotyped, and when it doesn't go well, you could look back at, well, Norwich were pretty rubbish when he was up as
no,
well.
I don't think it's a case of that. And listen, I think it's interesting. When they got promoted, we had Ed's first appearance on the pod. There was rumours floating about then that they might change, even though he just got them promotion. And he did really well to get him promotion. They played some brilliant football last year. Thoroughly deserved to get promoted, no question whatsoever. Their home form's been okay. But I think those who travel on the road with Leeds and always travel with good numbers and make good noise will be beginning to, what am I doing here with these away? Like, I expect a little bit more. They've just conceded 3 across Forest away and Brighton away. And these are the sort of ones that have been hoping to get something from. They've ended up taking a slapping in both. So if defensively, the defensive numbers aren't good away from home, they don't have any expectation to score many on the road. It's putting so much pressure on the home results. And I see them home games coming up and I think, yeah, this is concerning because I don't see many goals in your team. The Mecha takes the goal really well yesterday, but it's like, it's isolated stuff. And I raised this with Tom last week about Farker's comments after they won, after they got well beat at Brighton. So Farker standing there going, "Oh, we had more corners." Mate, football fans aren't stupid. Stop this. Give them something realistic. Give them some like hope of what's moving forward. So I think they've got a strong spine. The centre backs are decent. Goalkeeper's okay. The midfield 3 are difficult to play against. But if they don't keep clean sheets, they ain't going to win many games. And suddenly the goals are starting to go in. So yeah, I'm worried for them. And I think they'll change. I think they're really difficult to call whether they'll stay up or not because I think they will change manager. At some stage. Might not be for months, but I think we'll get there.
Right, let's wrap by talking about Manchester City 3, Liverpool 0, James. Man City racked up a bigger XG of 1.5, but that does include a penalty. Liverpool had more big chances, James. Liverpool had completed more passes, James. Liverpool on paper had a little bit more possession, James. Yet no one thinks Liverpool deserve to win this today. Even if Van Dijk's goal had been allowed, City bossed it. Like, this was a very one-sided affair overall.
I think the goal should count, by the way, for what it's worth, the Van Dijk header. But I don't think it made a difference.
This is where you get down to, okay, are we going to apply the letter of the law as it's written, or are we going to use some common sense? And sometimes we decide, like, okay, well, what does sense dictate? And sometimes you're like, well, it's written this way, therefore let's interpret it this way, therefore not. I get it. It's a bit frustrating.
Please stop comparing goals, by the way, guys. It's like Arne Slot referenced the goal. And this really annoyed me, by the way. This was a bit cheeky.
No, but this is where sometimes they use the letter of the law and sometimes they use common sense. That's where there's a difference. I don't know if his comparison is fair, but that's where obviously fans get annoyed because it's one situation for one and one for another.
Fans will also get annoyed if they don't get shown the full picture. I'll give you an example, right? On Match of Day last night, they showed the goal that I think it was John Stones scored for Manchester City at Wolves last year. And Bernardo Silva was in front of Jose Sá. And Arne Slot had referenced that goal as a comparison. And then they referenced it on Match of the Day and showed 2 angles of that goal on why Slot had every reason comparing the 2 goals to be disappointed. Listen, Slot has very reason to be disappointed with the fact his goal was disallowed yesterday. But please don't compare those 2 incidences, because on Match of the Day last night, it didn't show the angle that mattered, which is behind John Stones and Jose Sá's line of sight when John Stones heads the ball, because Bernardo Silva is nowhere near him. But they showed side-on angles, and it's like, oh, he's in his way. And they were saying on Match of the Day, Rooney's saying on Match of the Day, oh, he's in his line of sight. No. Show the angle from like behind the goal where you can say he's offside, but at the point of contact, Bernardo Silva moves well out of the way. And on this one yesterday, for me, Robertson is not impacting anything that happens with Donnarumma, and that goal should stand, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, that shouldn't be the headline, right? Because
it's not
Liverpool excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a big difference between them 2 teams yesterday. And I can tell you, for the announcement of everybody, you probably knew this, but Manchester City are now back to being my second favourite team in this leg. That was a statement victory yesterday. And they were very good. I think it was concerning the difference in quality between the two teams, I think, particularly off the ball. And as I said to you, my theme of the weekend, very much from the Tottenham Man United game, running through all the games I watched at the weekend, was the difficulty in so many teams are having in playing through an opponent. Liverpool are going to be vulnerable in just about any away game going at the moment. They're too open. There's not enough work off the ball. City were aggressive again with the fullbacks in terms of Nunes and O'Reilly. They'd set up with this kind of very centralised midfield to make sure that Liverpool couldn't overload in that area. When they lose the ball, Liverpool look really, really vulnerable. And they left a few people hang out to dry yesterday, like Bradley playing against Doku. I felt sorry for the lad, basically. Jeremy Doku, I said on the weekend with David on Friday, I said to David, I've never been more sure ever that Jeremy Doku would play a football match for Manchester City. He is putting himself in a level of being very, very difficult to stop. Now, he's always been that, but with him, he's one of them players that you're almost relying on him making the mistake. You know, like Adama Traore.
Yep.
If Adama Traore gets a run on you, you're game, you're finished. What was the best thing you could do with Traore? Let him do it and hope he cocks it up.
And then,
with Doku,
make him make a decision.
Doku's got way more skill ability than Traore, by the way. I mean, like his trickery, he can stop you and then do you. He's like a different level. But his output's always been concerning. Even yesterday, as good as I'm playing, I'm thinking, give me something at the top end here that makes me think, oh, you could be something from an FPL perspective. Because even assists isn't going to do it here for me. I need to see something for you. Take a bit of responsibility. And the goal was like a crowning glory on like a comfortable man of match performance. It's a brilliant goal. He has that in his locker. It's not like the first goal he's ever scored from long range. And I really like him getting into these more central zones. Really, really like it. Because if he picks it up and he starts running at people in the half space, good luck trying to stop it. He's probably the best ball carrier in the league, I would say, at the moment. In terms of a combination of speed and trickery.
Yeah. I mean, completed dribbles, it's been Kudus streets ahead, but second every single time has been Doku.
So much more direct than Kudus, man.
Yeah.
Kudus is more difficult to get the ball off, I would say, but Doku so much more direct. Trickery.
Yeah. But both struggle with the same thing, which has been end product.
Yeah, great.
If Doku adds that end product, then I'd have Doku all day long. I've got him provisionally coming into my team for Wildcard because I can have a bit of fun with it. Leeds at home, Sunderland at home, Fulham away. And then if I need to fix it for AFCON with my AFCON transfers because I'm fed up with it, then so be it. But
he probably didn't start in all three of those games, you know that,
no,
right?
but the ceiling in any one, if he goes off, is big. You talked about wanting to have fun, right? Between that period where you wildcard and your AFCON transfers.
It ain't fun if your player gets left on the bench, is it? It's not. No, there's nothing fun in that.
But he has the capability of a 15-pointer. Plus, remember, he's significantly cheaper than a Phil Foden, for example, right? So Phil Foden, I think, still at 8, isn't he? Give or take.
But also, so here's the thing with Doku.
So for Phil Foden.
This has been a running joke, particularly with I shout out one of our patrons, Victor. Because we have a joke about it all the time. Whenever he hits a bit of form, Victor's like, "Oh, what about Doku?" Like, and I've always been on his case. I'm like, he's never an asset, mate. He's never an asset. Even if you look at the next 3 home games, right? Leeds, Sunderland, West Ham. Now you look at that as a combination. Oh, that's 3 nice home games he's got coming up. Right? They're all going to go low. They're all going to make it difficult. He's not going to have the joy of space that he had against Liverpool, right? Now, he's playing so well at the moment that it might not matter. It's not like this is a one-off game. Jeremy Doku's been playing really well this season. And also, by the way, assists for Haaland, which was like never a thing before. It wasn't yesterday, but we're beginning to see him finding the timing of pass right for Haaland. And listen, if you're creating for Haaland, you're going to get some returns, aren't you? Because the boy's so good in front of goal.
Yeah, but we look at
I'm not convinced, Suj.
Okay,
it's almost
let
like
me convince you.
I want to get Manchester City players, and there's no other options elsewhere. It's a little bit of that.
Game week 6. Who did they play? Burnley at home.
5-1. Yeah.
Yeah, and what did Burnley do? Low block. And why were Man City so good at being able to go against them? Because Doku played well in that low block in that game, picked up 2 assists. And was talked about by Pep after that game as we can go against low blocks if using the likes of Doku. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I actually kind of agree with you, but you talk about we want to have a little bit of fun in this game. I think Doku for me would fill me with so much more joy than. And sorry, I had a look at the price. He's 6'4". Foden's 8, right? It's 1.6 million. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. Reinders, obviously, we don't know when he will or won't be back, but I'd take Doku over that all day long. If I've got 3 City potentially that I want to get to for Leeds, Haaland being Haaland. Doku is a whole heap of fun. And if you knew that Nico O'Reilly was going to play every week, James, you'd want a piece of that for those home games as well.
Oh, definitely Nico O'Reilly. But I mean, I would say Nico O'Reilly has done so well over this period that Aït-Nouri's been out that he should be first choice left back for Manchester City now.
That's my feeling exactly.
But Aït-Nouri is going to be a threat. And Vardiol could play left back as well. Aki could play left back. It's like, oh, God. Doku, between the points against 10 points against Burnley and 11 points against Liverpool, 5 fixtures in between, 5 FPL points.
Yeah, but he started every other game there. He only started 2 games in between there. He started Bournemouth at home and Everton at home and didn't start the away games.
Yeah, but what makes you think he's suddenly going to start every game moving forward?
He started Liverpool at home, started Bournemouth at home, started Everton at home, started Burnley at home, started Manchester United at home. So he's pretty much started all of the home games recently and hasn't started the away games.
Right. Jeremy Doku, if he ends up mutting, I'm not going to tell you that he's not, right? Because as I said, I want to take ideally some midfield punts. But I cannot look at this moment and think Jeremy Doku is a better FPL asset than Ismail Assar.
Yeah, no.
Can I look at Jeremy Doku and think you're a better asset than Declan Rice or Enzo Fernandez?
For 3 or 4 weeks, I would do it. I tell you why, James. I don't see Rice or Enzo Fernandez hurting you really badly. But I do see Doku going big, maybe a goal and an assist or a couple of assists, a bit of bonus.
Ain't gonna hurt, mate. He's owned by 3 robots.
Not hurting you, elevating your rank, giving you a real shot in the arm. I think the upside on Doku versus the downside on Rice and Fernandez doing well is worth it, right? It's worth it. For me anyway, at the end of the day, you've got to leave a couple of spots within your team for a bit of fun. And I totally get it. He could miss out on these games.
No, points are fun also.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, you don't have to. But I'm going to.
That's fine.
I'm going to. Leeds, Sunderland, West Ham at home. And I don't even mind Fulham and Palace away. I can bench him for Palace away should I need to. I don't mind it.
The problem, so for me, when I wildcard 13, it's like I really should go 3 City assets. So I'm not going to tell you that I'm not going to put Doku in there. But I'll be coming off it quick. I bet you I go, what did I do there? And come off it quickly. And I go, well, do you know what? I acknowledge that was a punt, so that's what it is. Phil Foden feels like he's playing too deep at the moment. By the way, it's not criticism of his performances. But I think he's actually playing a deeper role to really help with City's progression, which is getting Doku, again, into them more central areas so they can carry. And then he's got the threat of O'Reilly coming on the outside as well. So Foden, I'm really put off from an asset perspective. Reinders is now not in the team again. So that's like off the table, and that's now an easy sell for people that own, unfortunately. So Haaland, fine. There's nothing else I want there offensively, and defensively it's a headache. There's no DEFCONs there or anything, so he's reliant on players like O'Reilly. Yeah, I agree with you, by the way. If you said to me O'Reilly was going to play every week, I'd go, yeah, they're much stronger defensively. The goalkeeper really helps with that.
Yeah,
there will be some clean sheets, and because of him playing on that left hand side and getting so high, there will be attacking bits. But I can't help but look and think, oh my God, there's so much competition. It could suddenly be he don't play 2-3 games, not even just one. Pep goes, I'm going to give him a break for a couple of weeks. He's a young boy.
It'd be annoying.
And for you're wildcarding now. You've got to go 3 Liverpool players, haven't you? Right, good luck.
Well, I was exactly about to say the same, James. How am I wildcarding with the reigning Premier League champions, won their first 5 games in of the season, going into Nottingham Forest and Sunderland at home with West Ham and Leeds away, and it'll be Van Dijk plus none. And even when I free hit James West Ham away, it'll be adding Salah and not a third that I can see right now. Do you know my best transfer I've made this FPL season so far? I was thinking about this yesterday. I think this is my best transfer I've made this season so far.
Go on.
I sold Florian Wirtz in game week 1 off the back of what I saw. And I put that down as possibly my transfer of the season so far because he's been that pony.
Who did you buy?
Do you know what? Reinders. Reinders has been so bad, and yet he has still outscored Florian Wirtz during that period. Well, yeah, obviously I've used the money elsewhere.
Okay.
But during that period, I've only had one return out of Reinders, I think, and he still out-returned Florian Wirtz. Has Wirtz got a single return yet this season in the league? I'm going to say no, right?
No.
Wow. Do you know what I was thinking? I had this with West Ham a couple of seasons ago. Beware the team that wins the transfer window, James. And Liverpool clearly getting Wirtz and Ekitike and Alexander Isak and Jeremy Frimpong and Milos Kerkez, you could argue, won the transfer window. It's not playing out like that, is it?
No, listen, anybody on their day can go and get spanked at City, but I think there are some off the ball, think particularly without the ball, real concerns.
Listen, James, last season, they beat City 2-0 twice, home and away.
To end the theme that I'd said earlier, the majority of fans, I think, in the league are probably not that happy with the way that their teams are actually playing at the moment. But the majority of teams in this league are set up structurally well. Right now, Liverpool are not. There is repeat patterns happening, which most of the time at Anfield, they'll overpower and it won't be a problem. Away from home, I would not be surprised if they got beat at one of West Ham or Leeds, mate. I'm being very serious.
James, tell me why Real Madrid is different. Because it was at Anfield? And
because Real Madrid, look, I didn't watch the game. I was at Tottenham watching Mickey go on a bit of a tear up, right? You know, that tap-in that he scored, right?
Yeah.
I didn't watch the game. Now, they gave up a lot of the ball, Liverpool. They only had about 39%, but they had all the better of the chances, right? Real Madrid are trying to evolve under a very good coach in Xabi Alonso, right? Do you know what they also are, though? They're a team of effing individuals, really, rather than a collective. Now, Alonso's trying to work on that collective, but it's still a lot of individuality in that Real Madrid team, right? Villa, opening 20 minutes at Liverpool, played like we spoke about it last week. Morgan Rogers was astonishing in that period, giving Liverpool problems. Then, okay, they press, they score a goal, everything gets fine from there. I'm not saying that Liverpool didn't deserve their victories against Villa, Real Madrid, etc. Liverpool quite clearly are going to knock the hell out of most teams at Anfield just by sheer virtue of the quality at the top end of the pitch. That's fine. But right now, there are structural failings and they're set up defensively worse than most of the other teams. So you are relying on the individuality. They have great individual players, right? And collectively as a team, they obviously played great as a team to win the league last year. But Liverpool have not been playing well. I had this discussion with a few of our patrons on a Zoom call a couple of weeks ago. Liverpool basically haven't really played well for 6 months. Liverpool, since they lost to Paris Saint-Germain, have lost 40% of their football matches since then.
Whew. Really?
Right. Yes.
Okay. That's a hell of a stat.
Not good for a long time.
That's a hell of a stat.
So Liverpool Football Club, on a running basis, since they went out of Champions League, are losing 2 of every 5. Right, that's fine if you're competing for top 4, top 5. That's obviously not what Liverpool want to be. But I tell you what, that is now going to become their realistic ambitions for this season because they won't be challenging for the title. There's big question marks. If Arne Slot had not won the title last year, people would be asking some questions on the structure of that performance yesterday. In the same way, we've done it with like Amram. You know, these are too easy to play against. Truthfully, Arne Slot's got credit in the bank. I'm not talking about changing the manager or anything like that. But at the moment, the integration of these new players, as you'd mentioned, all these really good new players they've bought, right, it's not happening. And ultimately, other than Wirtz, what played yesterday from those new signings? And Ekitike. So it's just 2 attacking players. But fundamentally, the flaws without the ball is so bad. And Pep's found a system that works really well for City. That's why I discussed with David on the weekender about picking a box midfield and not playing a centre forward because I knew the trouble they was going to have in that area. and it played out. Liverpool assets, you want to buy 3. I agree with you. I would still go Van Dijk.
No, I don't want to buy 3. I'm happy
Okay,
with 1.
you should. You should go 3. Virgil van Dijk, I think, would be a shoo-in.
Yeah.
Despite all the concerns defensively, there are teams there that will play direct, some long throw stuff. Van Dijk gets his head on all of that. If they do keep clean sheets, which, to be honest, somebody attacks they're facing, I wouldn't be that shocked if they did keep 3 clean sheets in the next 4 or so. Van Dijk goes in, because certainly Bradley ain't worth it. Robertson Kirkes ain't worth it. Kanate's not worth it. Alisson is going to come back in for Mohammed-Dashvili at any moment. So if you want a defensive, by default, it has to be Van Dijk. In midfield, Gravenberch. Okay, there'll be some DEFCONs there and stuff. The standout one as it stands at the moment is Dominic Szoboszlai. You know what Dominic Szoboszlai also is, Suj?
On 4 yellow cards, James.
He's 1 yellow card from a suspension, so this is
we
a pain
needed
as
to
well,
do that
isn't it?
earlier, is have a roundup. Normally we do this. It's come quite early in the season. But yeah, he's on 4 yellows. I'm not looking at him, to be honest with you.
I would still consider him for your specific circumstance and wildcard, but I think a number of the rest of us, or those who'd use wildcard, were looking at maybe going this week. That's now awkward, hitting that 4th yellow. In terms of the rest of the attacking players, Salah is not worth the money. If someone wants to free hit in game week 12 and wants to captain him against Nottingham Forest at home, be my guest. It could go off. It's not worth the money. However, if you have sat all this way with him, I saw someone ask this question at the weekend. I've sat all this way with him. Shall I cut him now? The good fixtures are coming. No, because like you hold now, that you almost boxed yourself into having to do it. I think Gakpo, when he plays, could be decent for FPL, particularly in the home fixtures. But one of the reasons I decided to sell him for Enzo Fernandez was knowing that if he didn't start at City, as David didn't think that he would, there was then going to be 2 weeks ago. And does he play against Forest? And because it's Forest, it's like, can't sell him now. Imagine you sell him before Forest and he's back in the team and has a good run. You need more information, don't you? But you can't go Gakpo. Wirtz, to be honest, Wirtz is a worse swing at punt than Doku at the moment, Suj. Truthfully, and for more money.
Yeah, no, not even looking at it.
Let's imagine we did Doku versus Sarr. Let's do Wirtz versus Sarr for so much more money.
No.
Okay, McAllister, not as an asset. Ekiteke, I'm sure you'd seen Isak sitting there on the bench.
I'd go Gakpo and hope that he played, if I'm honest with you, James. Particularly because 2 of the games are at Anfield. But that's it. You're not going to convince me of anyone.
The one good thing with Gakpo, as you saw yesterday, is he could still get close to, I mean, he should have scored actually, with the chance that came across. He actually ended up getting slightly ahead of the ball. He could still return as a substitute.
Mm-hmm.
But you want him to play. So
if
you're on wildcard
Doku?
this week, what do you do?
Would you go Gakpo over Doku?
At this moment in time?
Yeah. On wildcard.
I think this week Gakpo, but ask me the week after Doku. Ultimately. I don't know if I'd want. I have no regrets about selling Gakpo, even if he goes off against Forest. It's like
exactly.
There's a headache waiting.
Sometimes you can't own everybody, and there's some players you look at and you're like, is it going to really hurt me? Probably not. So I'm not going to really struggle to try and find it. That literally is Van Dijk and nothing else for me.
I would, if I was on wildcard, I would go Van Dijk, Szoboszlai, and maybe Ekiteke as a 1 week punt. But then it's so difficult to move that off, knowing what fixtures are afterwards. I don't. And again, Ekiteke versus Mateta, it's no contest. Do I think Thiago's worth saving the money? Yeah. So this comes again back to points I was saying on the bits of content last week. For those who've held the wild card like us, Suj, this hasn't worked. But I also don't think it's failed, because I don't think those who went earlier have had the, again, I was discussing with Harry Daniels, no one's really kind of had the best of wildcarding. The 4 crowd had restrictions. The 6 to 8 crowd have had restrictions. No Palmer, no Saka. No one's truly won out on wildcard this year. But the reason we wanted to wildcard over this period was Liverpool, City, Newcastle, possibly Manchester United. And we're literally concluding this podcast going Liverpool, Van Dijk, City, Haaland, Newcastle, maybe nothing. Manchester United, Boomo. But this hasn't worked.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean like cut your wrists about it. It's like, okay, this is the hand we're dealt. Don't necessarily force yourself down that route. Now, that's why I've said about taking a few punts maybe from those teams. Like if Gordon's out for a while, maybe punting Harvey Barnes or punting Doku or punting Szoboszlai or Matthias Cunha from those sort of teams and work in that sort of area. But the idea of thinking I'm going to have my whole team full of players from these teams, like it's not there. And it would be silly to do that and overlook the Palace players, the Arsenal players, etc.
Yeah, I look at the Forest at home and Sunderland at home games for Anfield as well for Liverpool. Sean Dyche is going to get his team up for it. It'll be a battle. The Sunderland, I reckon they'll bully Liverpool there. Do you know that physicality-wise? I think it's going to be a tough game. And you mentioned the issues with the away games. Because I'm free hitting in 13, I can steam into 3 of them in 13 anyway. And after the Sunderland at home game, come back for Leeds, should I want it. I'm just not, doesn't excite me, doesn't get me going to want to go there. I totally get it though on paper. Liverpool should be one that you look at on Wildcard, but not going to do it.
Liverpool, truthfully, when I look at their fixtures, should be targeting up till, let's say, game week 21, they go to Emirates, right? They are very capable, and I mean this, of winning every game between now and then. Every game. And they should. If you break all of them games down individually, what's the toughest they've got on paper there? Is it Tottenham away? Arguably, truthfully. Probably is, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, if they want any chance to win the title, that's what they've got to be near. I think it's probably perfect over the next 9 games. Now, if they win 9 in a row, then there's going to be a conversation to have again. But I think there's too many vulnerabilities. I look at a side like Brighton going there in 16, I think, could be trouble now. And actually, my team as well, if it defends properly, physicality elements. The thing with Liverpool, you never feel like you can be physically strong against them. You look at them, you've just said it about Sunderland. It's like, I think teams can be physically strong against them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yellow cards. Should we just wrap a few that might be of interest
let's do it.
In terms of 4 yellow cards, just quickly? Tyler Adams of Bournemouth might be in a few teams on 4 yellows, but if you picked him, you knew that. Nathan Collins and Kevin Sade, both on 4 yellow cards. There's another reason not to dive towards Sade. James Garner of Everton's on 4. Also, Dominic Bradley of Liverpool also on 4. Nico Williams of Nottingham Forest will be in a few teams. Granit Xhaka is on 4. So too Siddiqui. I'll tell you what, Sunderland don't want to get both of them suspended at the same time. Christian Romero is on 4 yellow cards. Played the whole game at the weekend like he was intent on trying to get sent off, quite interestingly. A few on 3 yellow cards to shout out. Calafiori, Senesi, Thiago is on 3. Van Heck of Brighton is on 3. Munoz is on 3. Jack Grealish. Foden is on 3. Casemiro, Dan Burn, Bruno Guimaraes, Mohamed Kudus, João Paulinho, Kilman, Somerville, João Gomez. But those on 4, you obviously want to be particularly aware of. The yellow
Is
cards.
Richarlison not on 3? Oh, he hasn't scored. He hasn't scored 3 goals, has he? Sorry.
To be honest, he might as well be on 5 for what use he'll be to me at the Emirates. I can tell you.
Yeah. Fuck it. Do you know what? Let's just make taking his shirt off a red card offence. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Dick. Yellow cards reset. So it's 5 yellow cards is 1 game suspension. That resets, I think, in game week 20. So for those on 3 and 4, you've got to think you're probably looking at a suspension before then. That said, we've seen loads of circumstances in the past where players have got to like 4 yellows.
And they behave themselves.
And then, they do, and they don't get booked for ages.
Diogo Costa says hello.
Wasn't there also, I want to say it was Ezri Konsa last year, got booked in like 4 in a row or something to suddenly land with a suspension. But I think, very much, it's international break. Some will be wild carding soon, etc. Now you really do need to properly be considering yellow cards into some of your decision making.
Right, let's wrap with some questions, James. We've been going for 2 hours, would you believe it? I don't know where that crept up on. I was keeping an eye on the time, then stopped.
It's a good gym session for people, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. Like, listen, jump in the comments and tell us to stop talking if you think we talk too long, and we'll figure out a way to try and do it. But if you've enjoyed it and you prefer the longer format, then we'll stick with just taking our time about it. We've only got a handful of questions that have come in, James, because that's usually the way in the international break, people taking their mind off it a little bit. So let's have a bit of fun with these. First up, James, Matt Matt Hawksworth, he wants to know who will win more home games this season, Spurs or West Ham?
It'll be us.
What makes you so confident?
Well, truthfully,
Because if you look at the entire calendar year, it's not how it's been for a long period of time. So what's going to change?
we will get better.
We won't with Nuno.
I'm not like
defensively. You don't think we won't?
Better, but ultimately, we have a problem, and I think it's
European
emphasised
football
more in terms of home fixtures with ball progression. I have seen some signs over recent weeks. There are certain things that are beginning to slowly happen that are slowly improving. It's not going to help us for things like Arsenal, PSG, and Newcastle. But yeah, I think our chance creation will get better in home games. We've in the shite of drawing with Wolves, and we deserve to lose that game. And we've not deserved much more than what we've got in other home games. Bournemouth, Villa, United, Chelsea are individually challenging home games for a side like us that does not have creativity in the team. We'll do better once we get a few of these players back. Kulusevski, hopefully we might see in December, etc. Yeah, we'll win more home games, and it won't be close. By the way, go on, you can rip me up for that. Mate.
It won't be close, as in you think you'll win a lot more.
Yeah. We'll sort it out, but it will take some time.
I would say also though,
and our away form's about to get a lot worse. By the way, just
ask me in January. Because again, we need to obviously see where we get to with buying a centre back, because defensively we have been bad. But the home games that we've lost, I mean, Brentford, for example, was possibly one of the most atrocious performances going. Tottenham, we were pony and had a player sent off in that. Chelsea, you'd expect us to potentially lose in that as well. And under Nuno, I think we'll also get better. We don't have European football. I don't know how long you do have, to be honest, maybe up until February, March. So we don't have that complication as well to deal with that possibly plays into our hands. That's why I think it'll be close. I wouldn't stand here and say we'll win more home games. We're still a little bit shit, if I'm honest with you. But I do think it'll be closer than you think, because you've got a lot more football to play. Injuries will have an impact. January transfer window will also have an impact. James, Fantasy Argue wants to know best pump players for each position if you're going to wildcard in 13. I don't know if you can punt a goalkeeper. So
no, not really. Alisson, maybe, just in the sense of what we said about Liverpool. And if he's back in goal in 12.
It's an expensive punt, though.
Yeah, I get it. But 5.3-ish is kind of 0.5 down on sort of like your Reyes, Donnarummas. And you're questioning where you're going with Liverpool. So if we're saying Van Dijk as well, it is double Liverpool defence, which is just ignoring everything we've just discussed. But the fixtures are over the 8 or so are very good. And if Liverpool do squeeze games 1-2-0, Alisson has shown in the past that he has the capability to picking up the save and the bonus points to go with that. So you asked punt. There you go. There's punt. Defenders. Oh, God. I'll throw Sepp Vandenberg's name in there. Even though I'm not convinced that the DEFCONs are there. I'll throw Maxence Lacroix in as well, because I like that as a choice. Midfielders. Cunha.
Minter. Still low ownership.
And forwards. Haaland is probably not a bad punt.
Ekiteke.
I would have maybe said Sesko, but I've got a feeling that the fact that he didn't finish the game would suggest that it's probably quite a bad injury, unfortunately. Keep an eye on Muniz or Jimenez, not from now, but from sort of like 16 onwards. I do think Thiago, Mateta, Haaland as a front three will probably become the go-to. Voltemade, I think, for 14-15 is great, but not convinced otherwise.
Cool. James, last question before we wrap and give people a chance to listen to other bits of content that we may put out this week. What's your prediction on the Premier League winning points total for this season?
This season? Um, what
Arsenal,
City?
what,
What are
two and a
City
half
on?
points?
City on
20,
22. I want to
22,
say
which is 2
22,
points a
2 points
game.
per game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure it'll probably need more than 77, which is what City's current run rate is towards going to obviously 76. So, um, 85-ish or so. But all I
85.
would say is, and nothing's changed at the weekend in terms of my opinion on the title race. But City do have the capability historically to hit the second half of the season and go, "Bosh, we're winning 10 in a row," and they've obviously got some good fixtures coming up now as well. And this might be the start of something from these Bournemouth Liverpool games where there's a bit of momentum building. But yeah, there's no change. I don't think it'll be close at the end. There's still
Yeah.
too much vulnerability for City for me in those away games.
Yeah. 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 I spoke to Clayton yesterday briefly. Nice to catch up with him. He gave me a little ring and he was like, City, I didn't think they'd make me nervous, but just seeing them over your shoulder does add that little bit of nerves.
So I haven't got a recording on the podcast of Clayton saying that City won't be involved this year. Yes, I do.
Yeah. I've been in and around this now for long enough to know that it's a bit naive to write people off too early and to think that the team like City are not going to be involved and then Arsenal are going to run away with it. How many times have we said, oh, they're going to run away with it and so on and so on? It never, ever plays out like that. Injuries
I would
happen.
say it again. Arsenal will run away with it.
Yeah. Say it.
And you can all chop me up if I'm wrong,
because
because believe me, I'll be absolutely delighted if I'm wrong. Look at how Arsenal are dealing with these offensive injuries at the moment. No one's even talking about it.
yeah.
So we've got all this to come back into the team on top of the fact they're exceptional defensively. Okay, they conceded 2 goals from kind of ugly balls into the box at the weekend. How many teams are going to do that against them? They're too strong. On a different day, Arsenal won that game 3-0 at the weekend, by the way. Honestly.
Yeah.
That's not to discredit Sunderland or say they didn't deserve the draw or anything like that. I'm just telling you, on a different day, Arsenal go and win that game routinely and absolutely fine. Okay, so we've got a bit of variance where they conceded a couple of goals for the first time in, 2 months or something. They're so much stronger. You put these attacking players back in the team, and then I say to you, right, Haaland's out for a month. Where are City at? For me, there is way too much difference.
Marmoush is fit. Marmoush came off the bench. James.
I do want to say I thought played really well yesterday was Nico Gonzalez. I thought that was his best game for City. And he's performing the role better recently. I thought he was good against Bournemouth as well. And they're not missing Rodri to quite the same extent at this moment. I think City are stronger defensively than they have been. I think Donnarumma is a big help for that. They've got something a bit more settled defensively. But ultimately, they need more of other people to contribute alongside Haaland. And I don't think they will. I hope I'm wrong, but I still think Arsenal will win this by a landslide.
Well, we shall see how the season progresses. Listeners, wherever you're listening to the podcast, please give it a thumbs up. A 5-star review also goes a long way. We will be reading those as well. We'll get Nico to read them. Maybe he should ask you about some of the best reviews on Nico's Corner, which is, again, a Patreon show. Support the show on Patreon. But most importantly, stay safe, look after yourselves, and we'll be back for you throughout the week. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other and play it your way. Cue music, please, man child.